Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hello there,
Sorry,
Brandon.
I was just really admiring how soft my beard is.
Yeah? You using
Yeah,
anything in that beard?
yeah. I actually am using this. It's the scent is called the Quarter by Mudcat Whiskers.
Huh?
And if you weren't familiar, Mudcat Whiskers actually sponsors us now. So if you
That's
need any beard care products, uh, wash,
I could use
conditioner,
something.
wash, conditioner, beard balm, beard oils, um, even candles, soy candles with a wood wick, the wicks that crackle. You can head on over to their website, www.mudcatwhiskers.com, and use promo code Paperweights to save yourself 15%.
There you go. I might get some, it's getting a little scratchy,
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm Brandon, and today I'm joined with
Chris, I was here before on one episode.
everybody. Just is like pauses and doesn't even say their name. They're like, wait, what? What?
I made your show. I was letting you host as long as you wanted to.
Yep. So Chris is joining us for the discussion of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Book 6. And Chris has been on here before. If you listen to the episode, we talked about one-shots and kind of briefly ran through one of his one-shots as we discussed those D&D or just in general RPG, tabletop RPGs. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and reading, how you got into reading, or maybe how you got into Harry Potter.
I can tell you how I got into Harry Potter. So I was dating this chick in high school, and she loved Harry Potter. And at the time, I was like, eh. But I was a good boyfriend, and she wanted me to go watch the third movie with her, Prisoner of Azkaban. They're like, oh, okay, I'll see this. So I went and got the books, and I started reading them, and yeah, I mean, I read them as they came out. Like, I remember going to the premiere of this book. I weirdly, this is my second favorite Harry Potter book, which is why, like, when I was like, hey, I'll do this one with you, because yeah. But
What was your favorite?
oh, Goblet of Fire. I was
Goblet of
gonna say
Fire.
Triwizard Tournament, but it's the Triwizard Tournament in the Goblet of Fire. That one, hands down. I love that. I love that one, and it's kind of weird, similar to kind of how I like this one. Is there's a lot of just them being wizards at a school. Like this one, there's the Harry Potter doing his whole lore thing, like finding out about Voldemort, which I also love, just lore in general. So this book is just full of just like background information. But like, yeah, that's the kind of thing I liked about those two most. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll talk for tangents on everything.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of reading in general?
I do not do nearly as much as I used to. I used to constantly be listening or like a lot of audiobooks while driving. I would drive a lot or different things like that. But nowadays, I might read a book a month at if that much. Like it's so down a lot. I blame the kid. She tires me.
Hey, one book a month is not a bad pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people don't even, read a book in 10 years or longer. So, you
Mm.
know, 12 books a
Yeah.
year, that's pretty good.
I will say some of them are rereads though. I do love the Red Rising series. I usually read that once a year.
I don't believe I've ever read that one.
It's it has its moments. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing ever, but it has some solid moments.
I think we talked about it before.
Yeah,
In that very room you're in right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
So, all right. Yeah, so let's get into the Half-Blood Prince. Now, man, I had a thought. Let me see if I can remember the thought that I was going to say. Um, nope, I don't. Maybe I should have worked on my occlumency. Keep those thoughts inside my head. Or
Or
maybe I
store them
pulled
in
them
your
out.
pensive.
Well, that might have been the problem. I stored them in the pensive, and I don't
Yeah.
have access to it. Right?
Should we dive in to the pensive?
We shall. Now, I will say I really do like. Um, so the previous book and this book, I like the kind of autonomy that the students start having.
Yeah,
In the previous book, it was creating the DA and them going and training themselves in defense against the dark arts. And in comparison with the movies, I will say in the movies for the previous book, Order of Phoenix, I just remember them being in the room of requirement. It was the room of
the room
requirement, right?
requirement.
Yeah. Sorry, my brain thought something different. They were in the room of requirement a whole lot in the movie, but
Yeah,
in the book, it was like one chapter and
yeah,
then part of another chapter. And but they mentioned that, oh yeah, they were having this practice and everything. And I guess it's just the difference in mediums where the movie has to show it.
yeah.
Um,
It has to do at least a training montage.
it just like you know in the first five books. I mean, in book four, Snape is barely in book four,
Yeah,
but and even in the other books, he doesn't have a lot of screen time. But whenever I think of Harry Potter and the movies,
you think of Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman is just like he stole the show. He's in so many scenes, and Snape is just like one of it almost feels like he has as much screen time as Tyrion Lannister did in the Game of Thrones series.
Oh yeah, you know what? Just like Charles Dance, he's just a damn good actor. And that's the funny thing is like a lot. I've read and like watched some YouTube videos and stuff like that about movie Snape versus book Snape, and there's a lot of thought out there that the movie Snape is not a good representation of Snape. There's a lot of little things about it, but it doesn't matter because Alan Rickman was just that good at the role. Like he said, he just stole the screen. Like he was just there, you know. And it was just like I love watching. I just love watching them. Like I don't care if it's not what they wanted. That's
he went up to J.K. Rowling and said, "Look at me. I am Snape now."
it's like from now on, you're gonna write Snape as me. Forget what you imagined.
Go back and do your retconning, and I am Snape, not what you wrote on the papers, me.
Pretty much.
So, all right. Now that we have kind of a general, I spoke generally of my opinions of the book. Chapter one is the other minister. Now, I told Justin, I said, because we had a conversation about how the magic world
Yeah.
communicates and works with the Muggle government, and we picked the wrong book to stop
Yeah.
on with Justin because we immediately find out.
Like chapter one, right off the bat,
And
the
so
minute, no name given, which smart. But
what?
sorry, the UK minister, no
Oh,
name given. It was just
oh yeah, yeah, okay, gotcha. Sorry, I was like, what? No name given. Uh, so yeah, in this chapter we find out that Fudge has relayed most big events in the past books with the Prime Minister. So things like Sirius Black escaping, the attack on the Quidditch World Cup, the importing of dragons in the Sphinx. So they had actually had to like get customs approval to
Yeah.
bring
It's like,
to bring
oh,
these
hey,
animals in.
we have to notify you of dangerous beasts. We're bringing 3 dragons and a sphinx. Bye. That was the one where he just popped in, said it, and just disappeared. He's like, all right, cool. I said, like,
And
with
then
dragons?
also the mass breakout of the Death Eaters and everything. And so we also find out
I just thought about something.
yeah.
I didn't think about it till just this second. They have to have magical enchantments of somehow in the minister's office already to know whether or not he's alone and in there.
Well, they have the portrait.
They do have the portrait. I guess that works, yeah.
Yeah, the portrait is there. I wonder
I
if
feel
they
like
do.
I feel like I would want to sneak somebody in the room just to be like, look, I'm not crazy, like sneak him in a couch or something.
When I first read it though, I thought the portrait was actually
The minister.
Fudge.
That's what I thought too at first until it.
And then I kept rereading it. I was like, okay, no, it's just describing a frog-like man.
Yeah.
And I don't think Fudge is frog-like. And they never said the
Fudge is more
picture of
chocolate.
Fudge. Well, maybe he's a chocolate frog.
That's on theme. Hey,
Hey!
hey.
Let's see. We find out, just continuing the summary, we find out Fudge is no longer a minister, but he remains an advisor to the minister. The new minister is Scrimgour, who was he's basically charge of the
The aura.
the R's, and so Shacklebolt becomes the prime minister's secretary. And Chorley, let's see, Chorley, the junior minister, is under a poor imperious curse. So, like, the junior minister they know he's under a poor imperious curse.
Yeah.
Basically, the chapter recaps the past books and shows the relationship between the Muggles and the Wizard ministries. Justin would definitely have been happy to be reminded that this relationship exists.
Yeah.
And I think, and I went back and looked this up, it's not the first time, but I think it's like the third or fourth time that we have a non-Harry or Harry's dream point of view in the series. So the majority of the series is actually a third person limited from Harry's point of view.
Yeah.
And we
This is
get
definitely from the ministers.
yeah, so this is third person limited from the minister.
Yeah.
So some of the other things that were like there were some third person omniscient where like I think it was in
Chapter 2 is also in this one.
yeah, chapter 2 is also another different point of view. But there was a third person omniscient in book 3 with Ron waking up to Sirius Black trying to kill Scabbers.
Yeah.
Because Harry Potter was asleep.
Yeah.
You can't be from his point of view at all.
Could be a dream. It's all a dream. He died. This is all Jacob's ladder.
So I have a question for
He died
you.
under
How
the cupboard.
what?
I said he died under the cupboard.
Yes,
like he died before the series ever started. Magic isn't real. Like this.
Right. This is just his dying, like flashes of his death dream.
He solved it.
How do you feel about authors changing narrative point of view several books into a series? And I'm not talking about so like with George R. R. Martin and A Song of
Well,
Ice
he
and
does it
Fire,
every
it's
chapter.
already set up that every chapter is a point of view. He
I will,
doesn't change anything.
yeah, hands down, I will say if it was in the middle of the book with a character that we had never met before, it would have been jarring. But it's at the beginning of a book, so it almost feels like a prologue. Like even though it says chapter one, it felt like a prologue
Yeah,
to me.
I agree. I agree.
It had a good recap on everything, a little bit more information. One character you'll never see again, most likely, the minister, like, and it's from his point of view too, which, like, you say George R. R. Martin. George R. R. Martin has a habit of having prologues from the point of view of a character who dies in the prologue. Like, he does that in at least the first three books. I know in the first two. I think in the third one he does it too. The third one, damp hair. I don't know. Anyway, oh, the fourth one's damp hair. Anyway,
Spoilers.
sorry for all those people who have not read the 15, 20-year-old books. No, but
And that's the most recent one.
hey, I heard he wrote another word in what is it? Dance of Dragons is the new one.
No.
Yeah.
Winds of Winter.
Winds of Winter. That's right. Winds of
Yeah.
Winter.
Sorry, I'm just trying to turn my AC down. It's warm in here. Keep going.
But I will say this chapter. What did you think? Because I'll tell you what I thought, but I want to know what you think of, like, just overall. What do you feel about this as an opening chapter for the book?
Oh, I enjoyed it because one, it really showed it opened it up the world. It connected the magic world to the muggle world and stated that things that are happening in the magic world are affecting the muggle world and they will continue to affect it. And there needs to be some kind of, if we tie it back to the sorting hat, unity and understanding to actually have any chance of fighting this.
Yeah.
Because I could see easily, like, if the good wizards and witches didn't communicate with the muggles and the dark wizards just went and, imperious cursed all the muggles in the world, the good witch and wizards would have no chance
Yeah.
against the dark arts. So I really liked it because it didn't just rehash the past books.
It showed you a light of the old books you never saw before, like the
Right, you get that other, that other point of view.
and the
I
fact that,
forget,
like,
there was a movie. I forget the name of the movie, but there was a movie where it was like one crime happened, and then it was showing you from, like, it would show one person's point of view, and then it would go back to the beginning, and it would show you a different person's point of view. So each different point of view shows something that you're missing.
yeah,
By the end of the movie, you get the whole. Maybe it was Vantage Point.
maybe it sounds familiar as hell.
Yeah. But
But
it allows that to happen. So we're like, oh, okay, there was communication in the past, and it serves to show that and to show and to remind you of what happened in past books.
yeah,
And I have to say, I think J.K. Rowling really does a good job of reminding you of things. Now,
yeah.
I will say it was annoying with the Quidditch rules because she literally rehashed the same thing in at least the first three books.
Well, we got to make sure we know the rules right when we go and play Quidditch out in the field.
But even then, just
Get
like
on your
Justin
broom.
said, she doesn't understand it. Like, she doesn't understand games. And not to get into a conversation of games versus sports, but
Oh, no. Don't utter those words. I'm gonna forget you said them. For the listeners at home, Justin and I, and I'm trying to remember who else was there. You were there for that fight, right?
Dustin, both
Dustin. Oh, yeah,
Dustins.
Dustin was there too. It was a like 4 hour argument on the word sports versus games. And it literally ended with us like just screaming at each other. Nothing was resolved. It just ended with us just arguing and leaving. Like awful. Anyway, but no, back to the chapter. It was great. I agree with you wholeheartedly on everything. It weirdly, I'm wondering like, so we live in the real world, and as much as we read about Harry Potter existing, and you even you put on your suspension of disbelief, you still know that you're not magic. So it's kind of cool to see like, oh, here's the little bit crossing over, and here's people not even knowing about magic, living everyday life. You and me seeing people die on the news every day, not realizing that could be magic. You know what I mean? Like it, I think it provides an extra level of the suspension of disbelief.
Right, right.
Yeah. But honestly, what's more than that is, and I'm going to get into this in chapter 2 more. I thought I will hand it down to her. I have a mixed relationship with how I think J.K. Rowling is as an author. This was a very clever chapter. Like it was a very good literary tool. You know what I mean? Like I said, like it recaps everything without someone just info dumping on you. It was someone trying to remember things, freaking out. Like you feel this person's journey. You don't feel like you're sitting there getting just exposition. And in all of that, it provides important information. It gets you ready for what you know what I mean. Like it's good. It's good.
I did I really liked how, because as I was reading the chapter, I really thought that Fudge was still minister, and then at the end he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm not the minister anymore, but I am your I've been assigned as your liaison."
Here's this super hard ass that's just gonna come in here, just be like, look, we'll be fine. Bye.
um
I'll let you know if anyone else dies. Next time he goes and destroys a bridge and kills another 1,000 people, I'll be like, that was us.
yeah, I wanted to mention, so you were mentioning about there's got to be some type of spell in there or whatever to let them know when they're alone. I wonder if there is, if they do some kind of uh curse, not really curse, but magically binding contract that the minister can't go be like, "Hey, this magic world exists." But now that I think about it, I think they did mention it in there that he wouldn't go say this because people would be like, well, you're a loony."
Yeah. Well, a loon.
Like, let's impeach you and put somebody else in that's not crazy. And then that person goes out, "He was right." And they're like,
He was
"What the heck
absolutely.
is, what's going on here? Let's try a third person." Guys, no, they're right. Then everybody's like,
I mean, hypothetically,
"What?"
they all work together. They could do it. Minister after minister was like, all right, like 6 of us are gonna get impeached. But by the 7th one, people are gonna be like, well, I keep saying it.
uh, was there anything else you had in this chapter? I did make a note here that um, she went out of her way to describe that when Dementors are breeding, they're creating mist, which is just like,
Yeah, I I had thoughts, but they're not family friendly.
yeah, I know, right?
Like it's
It's
like
just like,
when people breed, they create their own mist.
uh,
What was his
I
name?
wanted to,
Hmm? I'm looking at the
while
book.
you
I'm trying to remember what's his name. The his secretary.
Shacklebolt.
Was it Shacklebolt?
Shacklebolt's one of the Aurors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kingsley. I know. I
Yeah,
remember.
Kingsley Shacklebolt. Yeah.
Yeah. I literally like the way I read. I just read Kingsley and just skipped over the last name. I'm like, all right, it's Kingsley. But yeah, I
What
like the
about
fact
him?
that I think it's funny that they have an aura that's also like full-time secretary that's also like amazing at being a secretary. So he's just like doing magic, like do the paperwork. Zoom. Like, I'm wondering how much he's actually there doing stuff. But maybe he is there protecting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wanted to revisit so the question I asked you about how do you feel about when an author changes
Oh yeah, sorry.
the point of view. There is a young adult series. I think it's I think it's the Maze Runner series.
I'm familiar with the movies, not the books.
Or it might not be the Maze Runner. It might be it's one of those. Anyway,
Yeah, one
the
of those.
first two books are from one character's point of view. And then in the third book, the opening is from another character's point of view. And then it swaps back and forth between those two people. The point of views go back and forth. And immediately when that happened, I predicted what was going to happen in the book. And I didn't finish reading the book. And I just went and asked my friend who was reading it at the same time. I said, "Hey, does this happen in the book?" She's like, "Yeah." Like, okay, well, I don't need to read the rest of the book then.
Yeah.
It's
Like, did the gardener kill him? Yeah. I'm gonna read this book then.
It's like, are you something? I think if
Once you
I
start reading
don't
it, it's
believe,
obvious.
right? I don't think the author knew exactly where it was going, or realized in book 3 goes, oh, well, if the entire book is from the first person narrative of this person, I can't kill them because then that's just the end of the book. It's like, I mean, you can have an epilogue. You can have an epilogue where it's just like, oh yeah, after they died, this happened. But yeah. So spoilers there. I think I kind of was hinting at that before I even started about that. But yeah,
It's
don't.
like, oh, find another character. Yeah, because
All right. Go.
the Red Rising series that I mentioned earlier, the first
Mhm.
three, like it's divided into 2 trilogies, and the first trilogy is all from the point of view of one character. I want to say it's first person point of view. It might be. It's been a few months I read it. It might be third person. I don't know what my copy is. Anyway, but the fourth book in the second trilogy, all 3 books in the second trilogy takes place like 20 years later, and it's like Game of Thrones style. Like every single, like not every single chapter, but there's like 5 different people, and it kind of bounces between them in no particular order. But yeah, it was just kind of in that sense, I didn't mind it, but it would have bothered me if it was just like in the middle of the series. The fact that it was like a whole new series kind of a thing. But yeah. Yeah, that would immediately been like, why in the same story is there another point of view all of a sudden?
Right.
Oh, okay.
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 All right. So chapter 2, your favorite chapter in this book. So Spinner's End, we have starts off with action. We have Bellatrix is chasing after Narcissa, who's her sister, who is heading to Snape's house. And they arrive. Bellatrix doesn't trust Snape. And then she goes through a list of questions. He has an answer for every one of them. Narcissa wants to tell Snape the thing that Voldemort said she couldn't tell anybody. Snape agrees with Bellatrix that she shouldn't speak it, but says he knows the plan. The plan has something to do with Voldemort ordering Draco to do something, but that something is actually never spoken in this chapter
Yeah.
explicitly. Snape
And then it's
agrees to
almost like a
take
punishment for Lucius's thing. Lucius kind of messing up at the
right. No, well, Narcissa thinks it is. a punishment for Lucius messing up.
Snape agrees with it, no? Kind
Um, I don't know Snape's feelings towards the thing, but he agrees to an unbreakable vow to watch over Draco and protect him from harm and to finish the task if Draco cannot. So
So it says in here like she starts asking Snape to do it instead, and he goes, I think he intends me to do it in the end, but he is determined that Draco should try first. You see, in the unlikely event that Draco actually succeeds, I shall be able to remain at Hogwarts, blah 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 blah. But he even is like, yeah, he's meant to fail this, and I'm gonna do it anyway.
yes.
Sorry, I got like Nora, my daughter has gotten into where if she gets upset about something, she starts scratching me, and she like peeled skin. And I just saw it. I'm like, what the?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm like, I get in trouble. No, but I'll summarize this book in much less, or in that series, that chapter, much less.
Chapter.
Bellatrix is chasing her sister, who is freaking out, trying to get help for Draco. She goes to Snape. Snape spends the next like 40 pages, it feels like, going obsessively over every little detail on why he is still evil and he's not a good guy. And methinks the lady doth protest too much. It was like as, and then that's it. And then he does the unbreakable vow thing. And then has Bellatrix do it. Oh, I hated this chapter. As soon as this chapter was over, I called my friend Justin Hahn. Justin Hahn is a driver for FedEx, and he has he listens to audiobooks all day. He has listened to he loves Harry Potter audiobooks. He's listened to them all at least 20 or 30 times. Like, he loves them. He skips this chapter every time. He's like, that chapter is garbage.
Now,
Every now and then I'll start listening to it and I'll skip it.
Does he listen to the Jim Dale narration or the Stephen Fry?
I do not know. I'd have to ask him.
Jim Dale was the original. I just saw that Stephen Fry was doing them.
But yeah.
Too.
Well, he died like years ago, so probably OG, but who knows. But yeah, like this chapter, the idea behind it I thought was interesting. Like, it shows them apparating through town, which, and then running over to Snape. It had Wormtongue, which, like, I understand, like, from the good guy's point of view, Wormtongue is a steaming pile of shit. Sorry, steaming pile of badness. Like, he's just an awful person, probably awful. But from the, like, Voldemort side, shouldn't he be heralded as some kind of hero? Or something more than just, like, like Snape's whipping boy? Like, something slightly nicer than that, right? Like,
well, not really. I mean, he hid away.
He hid away, but he came back. So maybe like put you at zero footing where you're like back to no good or evil. Because there's no question, without Wormtongue, Voldemort wouldn't have came back in book 4.
Wormtail.
Sorry, Wormtail. He wouldn't have come back in book 4.
Yeah,
And you can say,
Wormtongue is
yeah. Sorry, I was reading I was actually been reading Lord of the Rings, but Wormtail, like, you could say he only did it because his hiding spot was found out and he ran away, but he didn't have to go there. He could have done other things. That's what he did, and like, I don't know. I feel like if I was on the fence about becoming a Death Eater, and I got tell of the story of Wormtail, Tail, Rat, Peter Pettigrew, or Scabbers. I'm just gonna call him Scabbers from now on. If I got the story of Scabbers, I would be like, they don't really treat they're like, yeah, no, I wouldn't want to join them. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, Wormtail himself, that wouldn't make me want to join the Death
no.
Eaters.
And then you hear about a story. It's like okay, I forgot exactly who he killed, or then like framed Sirius for it.
Oh, yeah, it was just it was a bunch of people. I can't remember any
So like,
specific names, so I just don't think it was.
so it was towards the end of Voldemort's reign. It was after Voldemort died. I don't remember which one, but he killed a bunch of people, framed one of the like best friends, the whole gang, the OG wizard gang that was fighting Voldemort. Then went into hiding. Voldemort's gone. He's in hiding. I mean, like, okay, like, yeah, he could have went instead and turned himself in, but it was kind of funnier to have Sirius, who was legit one of the good guys, who was anti Voldemort, being in Azkaban, being tortured all day. It's kind of like an extra, like, haha. So you can even argue from that point of view, he was still doing the Dark Lord's bidding. Then when he got found out and everything came to light, he ran away, found the Dark Lord, brought him back, cut off his own arm to do, or his own hand to do it. Like,
He didn't cut it off. Voldemort cut it
well,
off.
or flesh of
Oh
the.
wait,
He
no,
did it. Flesh
Voldemort
of
made
the.
it grow back.
Yeah, Voldemort made it grow back. He had no guarantee of his work. It was flesh of the servant willfully given, or flesh of the something.
Yes, something.
But
Some stupid thing.
well, it was flesh of the. It was blood of the enemy forcefully taken, flesh of the friend gladly given, or I don't know. Anyway, but like he did all this stuff, and now he's just Snape's whipping boy, cowering, hiding. Like, man, like he deserves a little more respect. I would feel like I don't know, but
Maybe.
and here I
And
am defending.
to answer your question, he killed 12 muggles.
That's Dark Lord. I mean, like I feel like you deserve maybe not Hall of Fame, but like it's like Baltimore should be like, good job, like Oh, and you framed one of my opponents to having done it, and now he's going to be tortured for the next like 15 years, or yeah, 12 years, 13 years, whatever. It's like, extra good job. Just take down everything. No, but I
Yeah.
feel like now I'm defending myself the same way Snape was or I'm defending Scabbers the same way Snape was defending himself. But it's not in just written form, so it's not 40 pages of it. It feels.
I like this chapter. I like how dark it is. It's it's showing you Snape, like it's showing the audience Snape, and it we don't know, is Snape a good guy or is he a bad guy? We thought he's a good guy in book 5, but here it's like, oh shit, maybe he's still a bad guy, because we know he was a Death Eater.
Yeah.
Um, we we find that out later, that Karkaroff's body was actually found.
Yeah.
So he died. Um, yeah, I love how it shows it's just a real scrutinizing chapter on Snape. Like it really shows Snape up close, and you get a lot of him, but you still don't know, is he good or is he bad? And as the book goes on, your first read of this, okay? Your first read, you don't know. You
I
don't.
will. I will. I actually, during this chapter, not only
And no
guessed.
spoilers from
I'm not saying I guessed what happened at the end, what happened at the end of the book, and I even guessed why.
Well, maybe you're just smart.
No, it's my problem with this chapter is the same reason I liked the first chapter. First chapter was a very clever literary device, doing like how they presented the information. You know, they could have done something like this one. They could have had Bellatrix, or they could have had
Narcissa?
Narcissus. I was trying to remember her nickname, Sissy. They could have had Sissy maybe like quietly trying to like go through some people like at some kind of like somewhere, you know, where like Death Eaters are at or something like that, and trying to find some help, and like hearing about, you know, like someone mentioning Snape, and then Bellatrix fighting against it, and then someone else like defending Snape, or then someone else, or them reading something like little things like that. Not just Snape sitting in a chair going point by point like down a list. Well, if I actually did this, then I would have gotten pointed out, and he wanted me to spy, so I had to not do anything here because I was a spy. Because you see, then I was a spy here, and like it was just like you were just so you just presented information in a really good way. And in the next chapter, she does it again, presents information in a good, interesting way without just throwing it in your face and just say, hey, read this information. Here's exposition. Here's just all the, it's, I guess it's the closest thing literary to show, don't tell. It's just Snape sitting there telling why he's not a bad guy. And it was so much that it kind of was like, what's the point of this? There's only one logical point, you know?
Yeah, but still, like, I can see, like, if this interaction has to occur, which it does, like,
Yeah.
Narcissa has to go to Snape.
Yeah, but the fact that Snape
Bellatrix,
defended himself is what.
but here's the thing: Narcissa has to go to Snape.
Mhm.
Bellatrix has to try to prevent Narcissa from going to Snape,
Yeah.
which means that Bellatrix is going to follow Narcissa.
Yeah.
Once they're at Snape's house, those things have to happen for the information of Draco coming out in this way. These events have to happen.
Agreed.
Then once you have Bellatrix and Narcissa at Snape's house, and Narcissa emphatically stating that Snape can be trusted, Bellatrix has to state that he's can't be trusted because she doesn't trust him. At which point she has to start questioning and trying to prove to Narcissa that Snape can't be trusted, which requires Snape to defend himself. So it all has to happen that way.
No. I'll give you another one. Snape's house was never established before this chapter.
It was not.
So Snape might not have had a house. You know what Snape might have been? The Death Eaters might have just taken over like a giant castle somewhere, just out in the countryside, some giant castle. And Snape has like one of the towers, and he's in the topmost tower. And they're running around the like Narcissus is in like they're at the Death Eaters camp, and she's freaking out, trying to figure out what to do, to trying to talk to people, trying to figure out what to do. And a few people lead her that way, and then like other people. So when by the other people kind of like talked about Snape when Bellatrix is like, "Oh no, Snape can't be trusted." It's like, "Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "What are you talking about? He stayed at Hogwarts all these years." Like, he was ordered to. What did you want him to disobey the Dark Lord? Like other people. So by the time they got to Snape, it wasn't Snape defending himself. You see what I mean? Like they could have done it many different ways, but the fact that it was just let's warp to his house, sit there with him, and he explains himself is like ABCing it. Like just like let's just directly do this, get this done, and let's move on. Like it didn't. It's not that the information wasn't good. It was just it was after the first chapter being very clever about hiding just dumps of information, and the next chapter having dumps of information cleverly hidden. This chapter just sandwiched in the middle with someone just sitting there in a chair dumping information. It's just, I didn't like it. I didn't care for
Something that I just thought of. Did you ever watch the movie The Usual Suspects?
it. I have not.
Kevin Spacey.
No, but there's a new documentary about him on Hulu. It popped up and I was like, is Kevin Spacey in some? Oh no, it's a documentary about him.
I'm sure you've heard the name Kaiser Soze.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Kaiser Soze is a character in that movie that was a mastermind. And
Yeah.
since you haven't watched the movie, I can't talk about it. But this reminds me of that movie because it's good. I want to tell it, but it's such a good movie, and you need to watch it. Out of all the movies you've watched, you haven't watched this one, and I can't just go spoiler warning for the listeners and then talk about it with you. Damn you.
I remain ignorant just to frustrate people.
I know. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to point out here, unless you had something else, this is my last.
I made my feelings clear. I feel.
This is my last thought on it. Whenever Snape was taking the unbreakable vow, so I highlighted this portion. And should it prove necessary, if it seems Draco will fail, whispered Narcissa.
I have my book in case people aren't wondering what I'm looking at.
Snape's hand twitched within hers, but he did not draw away. Will you carry out the deed that the Dark Lord has ordered Draco to perform? I thought it was very interesting here that Snape's hand twitched. Like Rowling made a point to point out that Snape's hand twitched. And I don't think, because it was in parentheses here, I don't think Narcissa or Bellatrix noticed. Because I think if they either one had noticed, I think she would have stated that Narcissa noticed a slight twitch as she asked these words.
Yeah.
So
I think it was a hint about his feelings about the task.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes. I didn't notice that until you just pointed out, and I went back and I noticed that in the parentheses. I was like, oh yeah. It's very. The chapter has good things. It's just the middle of it that's I have feelings.
We know. You just told us, Chris. But will and won't. You definitely will tell us your feelings, but you won't spend 5 hours doing it.
I will not. I do have a funny typo that was in my book.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at the very first paragraph while he's like falling asleep on the window, and it says, I know it's supposed to say the misty fog, or like the misty fog his breath left on the window sparkled in the orange glare, but it says fog, and I was just like, the misty fog his breath, the misty fog his breath.
Let's see. So it's not a typo.
What is fog?
What the fug?
What the fug? Can we say that? That's what I'm saying. No.
Yes, it's a noun, and it's a British informal, which means a warm, stuffy, or smoky atmosphere in a room.
I'm sorry, the fog.
Hey, they're on the other side of the pond. Okay.
Do I have to scream louder for them to hear me then?
So
I thought that was a typo. Now I'm almost more upset it's not. All right. Let's recap.
Information. Okay, I did make a note, one last note about the other chapter, chapter 2. It was another non-Harry point of view. I said, and you had different feelings about it. It was really gave us a look at the side of evil and gave us information that Harry isn't privy to, but is super important to the story. And then chapter 1, the information in there wasn't super important, but it was definitely world building.
Yeah.
And so we've got these opposing things going on. We got chapter 1, which is world building, not a whole lot of super important information. Chapter 2, zero world building, but has a whole lot of information that we needed to get that Harry does not know. So it helps it allows the reader to have some information but still wonder, like, oh, give us that, oh, like in a horror movie, no, don't go out the door, they're outside. Kind of suspense, it's kind of turning from a detective story to almost a horror suspense.
You know,
You have a thought?
I wonder if someone that has never read this book before, what it would be like if they read it but they skipped the second chapter. Like, it would be like the first chapter is a prologue. It doesn't really make much of a difference to the story. It just kind of gets you back into the world while world building. But the second one, like you said, it has this important thing, which later on, like it says, like Draco has a mission. Little spoiler in, what was it, chapter 4, 5, 6? One of these chapters we're gonna go over in this podcast. You
chapter
see Drake.
Well,
You see,
chapter 4, he runs into him on the train, and then chapter 6, we see him in the Diagon Alley.
yeah. So chapter 6, you see he does something a little shady, which if there was no chapter 2, like if you'd not read chapter 2, you would have just been like, okay, he's up to something. But then later on, it would have been like, oh my God. I wonder if she wrote it and then went back, like editor's notes, like, we need to know a little more what's going on, and then wrote chapter 2.
That's interesting.
Like, she tried to do it without that information, then had to go back.
I have 2 people in my house that haven't read the book I can experiment on.
Yeah. Experimenting on family.
I think my
Wait, wait.
went
I
up.
want to. I want to say a catchphrase, but I feel like we'll be sued. So,
What could
experimenting on family is tight. Do you watch pitch meetings?
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Experimenting on
Tight.
family is tight. What?
You're not gonna be sued for that.
All right.
He doesn't own the word tight. Chapter 3. This chapter starts off with I'm talking about point of view a lot. It starts off with the third person omniscient point of view, because Harry is sleeping. He doesn't know what's going on in the room. He's literally sleeping right here, and we're learning about everything that's in the room. Describes news articles and the state of the bedroom. Dumbledore arrives at midnight, rings the doorbell, which Uncle Vernon is not happy about. He now has one hand, which is black and shriveled, but he's here to explain to Harry about his inheritance from Sirius. He forces all the Dursleys to sit on the couch and pours glasses of mead that just float and hit them in the head because they refuse to
He
drink them.
bugs with them for the next 30 minutes.
After some worry, they discover that Creature, and therefore Grimmauld Place, have indeed been passed on to Harry and not Bellatrix. Harry then sends Creature to work in Hogwarts kitchen because he has control over him, and that will keep him from disseminating information from the Order of the Phoenix. Dumbledore then implores the Dursleys to keep the invitation for Harry to live there open for until he is 17 in a few months, or a few weeks rather. At which point he will be an adult and the protection ends anyway, because in the wizarding world, 17 years old is the age of adulthood, and his magic only lasts until that time. What are your thoughts?
So this has some pretty good stuff. Again, like you said, it starts off with Harry sleeping, waiting for Dumbledore to come at 11, not midnight, because I'm nitpicky.
Okay. I've been known to get things wrong. I admit it almost
I have
every
never
episode.
said anything wrong. So Wormtail and Tongue is no, but very clever with the newspapers. World building again. I do love how one of the ones also talks about how Scrimgore like replaces Fudge. And I think it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, we already had a chapter about that whole thing, but it's kind of cool to rehash it again, I guess. A little more information. Like this. This is clever ways of expressing, the world, get out some important information going on. Like I said, she did it good in chapter 1, good in chapter 3. I do have some notes.
It's almost like little things that you don't have to explain in movies, as you're going through. And you remember
it's just like it'll pan over the newspaper and you kind of read it and
you remember when I was telling you about that time I watched the first of 3 movies of, I think it was Berserk?
Wait, have you ever watched the anime?
No.
Did you like the movie?
No, I didn't like the first movie.
It doesn't matter. Your opinion's garbage because you haven't watched the
anime. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter.
I watched the movie, the first one, and it ended, and I was just like, turned to my friend and said, what in the hell just happened? Like, he goes, wasn't that very emotional? I was like, what? I don't care about this character. I don't care that this happens to this character. Because what do you mean? Like, it was set up that this and this and this happened. I was like, when did it do that? In the montage where this dude gave this guy a letter. I was like,
what? I don't know who these people
like, and it's like, I don't like it. He's, well, you need to watch the other 2 to like it. I'm like, but you asked me what my opinion of what I just experienced was, and I did not like it. I did not like that experience. If I have to experience the other 2 things to come back and appreciate this, then yes, okay, maybe I'll appreciate this as a whole, but my experience of the first part was not good. Like, I don't understand what happened. And they probably at some point went, you know what? People won't understand what happened. We'll have to explain it in some more stuff later on.
Yeah, I'm not big into anime as I used to be, but yeah, a lot of movies that take place right when the anime ends. Don't let people watch that if they don't know what's going on, because they don't explain. End of Ava ends with two character, like one character choking the other one, and then the one being choked to death just goes pathetic, and the other one just falls down crying, and that's how it ends. And it makes all the sense in the world if you've seen the show. If you haven't seen the show, it literally is just what I told you, and you're just like, what was that? These people just randomly started doing this. I say randomly. The world's destroyed, and they're the only 2 people left alive. But sorry.
Back to chapter 3.
So I got some notes.
Cool. I like notes.
So one of the first ones comes actually in the first little newspaper article. Harry Potter the Chosen One. So Rumors continue to fly about the mysterious recent magic. Da, 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 da. So, we're not allowed to talk about it. Don't ask me anything, said one agitated obliviator who refused to give his name as he left the ministry last night. And I kind of circled that or put that to the side. I was like, it was kind of interesting that it was like, why is this person like, do we know who this person is? Is this person going to come back up later? It's almost like a not quite a Chekhov's gun, but it's definitely like, why is this person saying they didn't want to give a name? Like, she loves giving names. It could just be a red herring of just, I thought it was.
So, Obliviator, let's see.
Those are the people that erase people's minds, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is just giving to me is giving information that hey, they're men in blacking the thing
Oh
so
yeah,
that people don't remember. And so there's several because of how big the event is, there's
yeah.
several, and it's just one of them.
I guess what it was the phrase, who refused to give his name. It didn't just say, it said one obliviator as he left the ministry last night. It was like one obliviator who refused to give his name. So I was like, that's it. I don't know. I mean, like, what I mean? Like, it's just one of those weird, it's like, oh, like.
But also that might say when
That's
when I read that, it kind of ties into him saying we're not allowed to talk about it.
yeah. Like,
I wasn't here.
yeah.
I'm nobody.
Yeah, like maybe. Like, it was just one of those things where I was just like, I don't know, like, it could show up. Like, maybe, who knows, she's gonna put on Twitter that the obliterator is actually so and so the whole time. Like, it's yeah.
I think we get the first mention of the word in Fury. And I made a note here said how long before they explain what it is. And I think they explain it in the next chapter. Or
Yeah.
like, in a chapter or two we get it. I'm like, hey, it wasn't that long. But it mentioned nothing. It just like there's Infuri everywhere. I forget. Oh, yeah. Unconfirmed sightings suggest that the Death Eaters may now be using Inferi. Any sighting of an Inferius or encounter with the same should be reported to the ministry immediately. Like,
I was gonna say
okay.
that is the most like non-threatening name. It's like, what are you? I'm in Fury. It's like, oh, you're inferior. Okay. Not. Oh, it's the plural of inferiors. It's just the infuri. Like,
Yeah.
I got another one of those notes about smart versus dumb, like smart writing. Or this one isn't the writing; it's the person.
Is it Dumbledore versus Smartledore?
But it's Scrimagore, and it was like I like the idea of getting someone that's no nonsense, like kind of militaristic, like, yeah, like getting in there as the in the office of minister, but he just like kind of abandons it. You know what I mean? Like, so it says, like, for obvious reasons, the ministry will not be going into detail about the stringent new security plans while referencing Hogwarts. And I'm like, that is great. I like the idea that we don't need to know. We're gonna find out little bits and pieces as it goes along if we need to know. If not, you might just have stuff pop up. Like, even like as a writer, that's great to know you have a character who's really loose or really tight-lipped about things, but is very proactive about stuff. Therefore, if you need something done later, you can have him having had done it without having to say he did it because he's tight-lipped about it. The next sentence is, or sorry, the same sentence said the minister, although an insider confirmed the measure. And it like goes on to list all the things, and I'm like, I feel like like it's like counter hexes, a force of auras, and some other stuff, and I'm like, I feel like I'm not saying like military should or like in times of emergencies people should control the press, but there's a time also where the police don't want the press to let certain information out, in cases and stuff like that. And I feel like the school where everyone's children is going to, those security measures, knowing there are people out there trying to counter the security measures, I wouldn't be like, don't print anything about the security measures. Like, we as a reader don't need to know them. It just, I don't know. It's a small
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
I have like a way too many notes on this chapter because I was drinking coffee, which I don't do often, and I was very hyper.
Jules
Yeah.
told Christy the other day, she goes, Mommy, every time I drink coffee, I have to go to the bathroom immediately. Every time. It's like,
Yep.
welcome to the world.
hmm Um, you got any more? You got anything you want to talk about in this chapter? Or I'm just gonna keep going if you let me.
Um, we are at a minute. Sorry, not a minute. An hour and 5 minutes.
Oh,
So if we want to, if it's important, we can. I do want to
that
try
just
to
is
pick up some speed.
all right. Two things. One, I I thought the description about how Harry Potter hadn't packed because he was, thinking like Dumbledore's probably not going to come, and if he does, like he'd rather just not be packed and throw everything together versus be packed and then be disappointed. All this stuff. Like I was like, this is very good insight to the person that Harry is,
Right.
to his mindset of thinking. So, and other than that, yeah, Dumbledore spends like 5 to 10 pages just messing with the Dursleys, like just hitting them in the head or and I'm like, yeah, I'd be angry too.
In the middle of the night.
It's 11 o'clock at night, and he's like, I throw you on this couch, and I'm gonna hit you in the head over and over again with a bug. You're gonna be cool with that, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. It's like,
um,
drink it. Drink the mead. It would be polite if you did. One thing I do want to
creature.
point out here, they did rename or they rechristened Buckbeak to be Witherwings.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah, they
if
still,
anybody remembered that Buckbeak was supposed to have been uh, executed, then
yeah.
because there's so many there's so many hippogriffs flying around.
If you disagree, you're a hypocrite.
All right. What
um,
were you gonna say about creature?
I have a few notes on creature. One, the fact that I've read the won't as straight up Gollum, just won't, like, um, and genuinely, if creature, let's say creature was free, let's say Harry Potter or like, even like Hermione pushes the agenda to try to free the house elves, and he frees creature. Could creature just pop back and kill Harry Potter? I mean, like, I feel like if Creature was given freedom and had the ability to do it, he would just pop back and kill Harry Potter. Just like straight up, just. Um.
Excuse. There was silence there because I muted my mic because I'm coughing and
All right.
Chris is reading.
So the last thing is on this chapter that I really had to note that I was like, was when Dumbledore was describing that they were at that Harry Potter was about to become of age, and Aunt Petunia, like the first thing, she's just like no, and it's the first time she spoke the whole time that Dumbledore learned the very first time, and she's like no, no, he doesn't. Da, da. I believe that she has a inkling of love for Harry. She does have some, and it's almost like the fact that she pops up right then is kind of just like a no, he's not a man yet. He's still a boy. Like, I don't know. Did you get that feeling at all, or is that just
I do think that she does um have some,
yeah,
although in the past it's been
buried?
like it's buried and she's ashamed of it until recently where it's like, oh, he's actually in danger of being killed. Oh, well, let me, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, that doesn't change the fact that you were a horrible person.
Yeah.
Like you can still love somebody. Like you could still have some love for somebody, um, and do horrible things to them, but it still makes you a very horrible person. Like you can't go, well, I did it because I love them. No.
Yeah.
If you love somebody, don't be mean to them. Just don't
Yeah.
do it.
It's gotta be you're a dad. You know it's like taking care of like I couldn't imagine raising a kid and then hating him. You know what I mean? Like
I couldn't imagine that either.
there's gotta be a little bit of something.
I mean, there's times when they annoy the hell out of me, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go be cruel to them. So,
All right.
all
I'm
right,
looking at my
chapter
notes for chapter 4.
chapter 4, Horace Slughorn. So I feel like this, or I mean, this chapter definitely serves to introduce the newest Defense Against the Dark Arts professor.
Does a good job.
S- Slughorn
Longhorn.
was
What
a
a name.
former Auror and former potions professor. Dumbledore uses Harry by way of okay, so Dumbledore uses Harry to recruit Horace by way of leaving him alone with Slughorn to recruit Slughorn. He knew that once Slughorn saw how special Harry was, he wouldn't refuse Slughorn. And so it's like that was kind of a genius plan. We find out that one, Slughorn was in Slytherin, and he had several favorite students, including Harry's mom. Uh, after this, they head to the Burrow, and Dumbledore decides he will give private lessons to Harry this year and suggests that he is safe to tell Hermione and Ron what the prophecy said. How do
Gonna
we feel
be
about Slughorn?
I like Slughorn. I mean, like he's a smoozer. He's a name dropper, but he's not malicious. You know what I mean?
He's eclectic and he's a collector.
Yes.
And so he and book 2, um
Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, dude whose
yeah,
mind got evaporated. I don't remember
yeah,
this one.
yeah. Oh man, why can't I remember his name? Because he showed up in the last book too.
Lockhart.
Yes, so he and Lockhart are kind of similar in then that they like to be connected to famous people.
Yeah.
However, Slughorn seems to want to do it just for his own, like just for his own interest, not
Yeah.
not to go brag. Is that bragging rights?
Yeah. He's not
Whereas
he
Lockhart
doesn't
was
want to be the
bragging.
hero. He just likes being friends with all the heroes.
Lockhart, he didn't want to do the things to be a hero. He wanted to take people's stories to make himself the hero. Yeah, I like Slughorn, and with the movie, I think Justin, not Justin. I said Justin because the actor's last name is Broadbent that played Slughorn.
I did not know that.
um, I I haven't seen movie 6 in I don't know how long, but reading this book, I'm like, I'm
I'm picturing him too,
picturing
even
him.
though the description's kind of different. Like he's walrus like, and in the book I didn't feel like he was walrus, or in the movie I didn't feel like he was walrus like. But he like I just feel like he captures that.
Yeah,
Um,
the actor's name is Jim Broadbent, by the way.
that's close enough. We'll call him Justin. This is where the zombies were described finally
Yes,
in furry, which
I did. I did find it interesting that every year there is no good candidate for the dark arts position, yet each year they convince some old retired wizard to come teach. Like,
You got this right.
were they not available last year either? Like,
I feel like at some
really?
point you're just like scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Dude, I was about to say that. You just stole that from my head.
I did get in there. I grabbed it out of your pensive.
So some of the notes I pulled out of this chapter here. So we learn Voldemort conveniently uses occlumency to block Harry, which is a good thing because Harry could sure as hell
Harry is
couldn't have
awful
done
at
it.
it. Yeah.
He couldn't have done it himself, even though he wanted to.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, Voldemort, just do it. Just do the thing for me.
So just make it easy. Just do it.
uh, and here Harry asks what Inferi are, and Dumbledore's like, oh, well, they're corpses that are animated.
Yeah. My first note in this one was on the very first page where Dumbledore says, if there is an attack, said Dumbledore.
Did you just make a dinosaur, Dumblesaurus?
Dumblesaurus said Dumblesaurus. I give you permission to use any counter, jinx, or curse that might occur to you. And my note is, wait, Dumbledore can just, like, it's a law. Like, Harry went to a tribunal thing before for doing this, and he was allowed to have performed the Patronus charm because it was in the previous book, because there was a Dementor. So, one, if you're doing it because you're under attack, it's okay. And two, he had to go to a minister tribunal thing. But Dumbledore just can say, oh, I'll give you permission. It's okay.
Like, so, Dumbledore, at the time that Harry was called to a hearing for magic,
yeah,
Dumbledore was suspended from the Wizengamot. Dumbledore is the head mugwump of the Wizengamot.
All right.
So I think he might have that power.
Okay, I take it back. That note is. Well, my second note is.
But they don't exactly. They don't exactly explain what the Wizengamot's governing body
They
is.
did say he was.
What it.
I did notice that they mentioned it and that he was the head of it. I'm like, okay,
whatever that is, great, cool. So maybe he does have the power.
I will take it as canon that he has the power to grant without a tribunal or trial. My next note is this Harry Potter is the chiming village of Budleigh Babberton, and I have Budleigh scratched out with Bud Light above it. I think the coffee was wearing off around this time.
Yeah, I don't have any more notes for this chapter. So if you wanted to talk about,
let's see. The only other one I have is when they were in the house and Dumbledore like caught like because when they got in the house, Slughorn had transformed the house to look like it had already been like wrecked and attacked and everything was in tatters, and there was this armchair there, and that was actually Slughorn, and Dumbledore saw through it right away. But I literally, and this is because I play a lot of D&D, I wrote a note about, do you think that they have stuff like detect magic spells and stuff like that, or they can just like go and like feel around from, I'm assuming like a wizard can tell when there's magic about her somewhere, right? Like that's what in my notes, Dumblesaurus cast detect magic, and that's how I found him. So
maybe not everybody can cast detect magic though. But I mean, because otherwise you would know if somebody was under, they would be able to just cast it and tell if somebody was under like a Imperious charm.
True. Well, I mean, it is a first level spell, and if all these people are wizards, they should know it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Could be.
dropping D&D jokes. Um, the only other one was, I think, I'm trying to remember. I want to
Did you
say
freeze?
he, I'm
It
trying to find.
literally looked like you froze.
All right. Da-da-da-da. Dumbledore not only expresses that he can, like, he expresses he should tell Ron and Hermione. And I like that. Like, I feel like knowing the rest of the book, I feel there are things that that means. I don't want to spoil the rest of the book, but like, I believe that is of importance there. But that's all I got for this chapter.
Yeah.
And now they're with the
Yeah, he does say, I think they ought to know. You do them a disservice by not confiding something this important to them.
Yeah.
And I think one, it could be that he's like, okay, yeah, y'all are really close friends, and this is something that's like important, almost to a point of like, you know, if I were to be diagnosed with some terminal illness, right?
Yeah, you need a support group.
And not only that, I mean, but if I didn't tell you, Justin, or any of the group, and then I just died, and then Christy was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, he was dealing with this disease," y'all would have been like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah, so you should have said something.
because and that's, you know, the prophecy says he might die, right? So let your friends know.
Yeah. We forgot something in chapter 3.
What are we
Dumbledore's
forgetting?
hand.
No, I mentioned it.
Oh, you mentioned it? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's all. We still don't know what
but
happened.
yeah, we don't know what happened to it.
But his hand is all messed up.
Maybe we will find out.
All right.
I do. Oh, wait. Oh, I really love chapter 10. And so when we get to chapter 10, I really like that one. Chapter 5. Chapter 10 was the House of Gaunt.
Oh, yeah. I like that one a lot. You and
I
me are on the
love that chapter.
I could read
House,
books like that.
yeah. Excess of Phlegm. Chapter 5.
Great
The
title.
chapter, yeah. Uh, the title chapters, the chapter titles in this book, I think, are more clever than any of the other books. But An Excess of Phlegm, the chapter begins with Harry's arrival at the Burrow. We get to see the secret passcodes in action with Dumbledore and Mr. Weasley, Mrs. Dumbledore, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. We get to see between Dumbledore and Mrs. Weasley, and then Mrs. Weasley and Mr. Weasley.
Yes.
We get more wholesome motherly care from Mrs. Weasley, and we find out about Mr. Weasley's new promotion. Yay! Bill and Fleur are engaged, which all the women in the Burrow dislike Fleur, while all the men are happy for Bill and think that Fleur is pretty.
It has like a slight enchantment effect.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Like,
she's
it's not their fault.
no, it's not. What Vila? Yeah, she's part Vila.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Siren, if you will. They've nicknamed her Phlegm, which is the title of the chapter reference. The title references that. What?
Do you think her power affects based on gender or sexual attraction. What I'm saying that is like, do you think a gay guy would be as entranced with her, or or just like not like feel like one of the women, or do you on the vice versa, a woman that's attracted to women, would they be under her charm?
I don't know. It might be up to the Vila. It could be up to the Vila who they want to charm.
Well, in that case, I would charm everybody. Like, why would you not charm the mother of the person you're gonna marry? You like, please don't hate me. Like,
Well, maybe it's it's not a I want you to like me charm. It's I want you to like love me and pursue me charm, and that it's either on or off.
yeah,
But I don't know. Um, Harry explains the prophecy to Hermione and Ron, and also that he's going to be getting private lessons from Dumbledore. Hermione gets punched in the eye by a punching telescope that Fred and George left. And she goes to see Mrs. Weasley get it fixed up. She's amazing. Apparently, Mrs. Weasley is good at bandaging things up. But that also allows. Excuse me. It's later than normal. It's past my
yes.
bedtime. It that allows them to then have the conversation to have everybody in the room when the owl grades come in. And I made a note here to discuss everybody's attitude towards Floor, which we kind of did already, and then discuss the OWLs.
The fact that the owls are delivered by owls and they were waiting to see their owls as the owls brought the owls, I was like, okay.
The owls are bringing
It's
something. What are
clever.
they bringing? It's the owl grades. Oh, the owl grades get delivered by
The owls have
owls.
owl grades. Yeah, I have like
Mr.
notes. I have notes every time, like little arrows every time they're next to each other. Now, one thing to note in here is it's the first mention of what Fred and George have been up to, isn't it? That wasn't in the previous book. That they have opened their own joke shop in Diagon Alley.
Let's.
I don't think it had opened at the end.
No, I think it mentioned at the end that they were. I think they ended the book. I think I'm just discussing that with Justin.
Okay.
They found a spot in Diagon Alley.
Okay.
The Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes is I think I could go back to that book. I think it's a chapter.
Maybe one of the last ones.
I think it's a chapter title. Oh, no, it's not, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it mentions it.
All right.
Um,
That was my bad. For some reason, I thought it was the.
yeah, I love silence when we're looking things up.
Yes, this will get cut. Cut this. Cut this. Cut this.
No, I don't
That's a
cut shit.
that's a reference to another podcast I listen to. Cut this. Cut this. Cut this. Cut this. But you hear it all the time, which means they leave all the shit in. And whatever.
Yeah, I really think that they
I think you're right. No, I know because I remember they departed, and the whole boom, but it didn't.
Oh well, whatever. Back to this chapter.
Anyway,
So Mr. Weasley's new position is in the office he's heading the office for the detection and confiscation of counterfeit defensive spells and protective objects.
Yes, which we get it in the next chapter. We get a good example of one.
Okay.
Remember when they like right when they walk into Diagon Alley, there's someone trying to sell some fake.
Oh yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question. What is Mrs. Weasley like Mr. Weasley to call her when they're alone?
I gotta look it up.
Molly
Ah,
Wobbles.
huh?
Molly Wobbles.
Molly Wobbles, that's right. Yeah, there it is. Molly Wobbles whispered a mortified Miss Weasley because she just like whispers into the door because like everyone's in the kitchen. So she's like,
What's the safe word?
I think my wife would just stop at that point if that was our safe word. She'd be like, and I'm done for the night. No, I like.
Percy's still not talking to the family.
Mhm.
What do you like?
Can we talk about that clock? That is the most useless clock. If the fact that they are all in like mortal danger, it's like I get it, but you would think there'd be like something more, or even like a more specialized. You know what I mean? Like at some point, if it's like, hey, people are after us, the clock becomes pointless. Like, what is she? She carries. So Miss Weasley in the chapter has this clock that shows where everybody is, like they're traveling, they're at school, blah 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 blah. But it always has them just in mortal peril. Everyone in the family. But she
Now
carries it
it
with her
didn't.
everywhere. Huh?
It didn't used to have everybody in mortal peril.
Yeah, but it does now, which I get the idea is like everyone's scared. But weirdly, when Mr. Weasley was traveling, it was like traveling. Gonna get killed, gonna get killed, gonna get killed. Okay, I'm traveling, gonna get killed, gonna get like I don't know, like
He can't be killed while he's traveling.
I guess not. I mean, like I feel there should be at least another thing besides like just everything at midnight we're about to die. Like because midnight we're about to die is like, oh no, they're being held and tortured. You would think there would be another setting on the clock for that versus people want us dead versus we are actively being tortured or killed or pursued. You know what I'm saying? Like I am
Yeah,
currently
I never thought
fighting
about
Death
it.
Eaters versus I'm at home sleeping in a safe house, but there are people out there that wish me ill. One of those is much more perilous.
That's you're very right.
And it's just like
I
I get the
don't know
idea.
why.
Yeah, like I don't know. That just bothered me. But I don't know. I feel bad for Flim. Did you feel bad for Flim in this chapter?
I did. Let's see. I just realized. Oh, whew. Hold on. Sorry. I was like scrolling through my highlighted things on my Kindle app,
Yeah.
and there was no notes after chapter 5. I was like, but I hit the refresh button and it synced.
Um,
So
yeah.
no, I did feel bad um for her.
Yeah, like I didn't feel like she was I mean, like, yeah, it might have her like, oh, like prom queen running around. I could see it being annoying, but she seems to legit trying to be friendly with everybody. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I think it's like a kind of a jealousy or like, oh,
Yeah.
she's part Vila, so of course everybody likes her because she puts that on, but do they really like her if she wasn't that?
Yeah.
Kind of.
I get that. But like after a point, like I can see that being like, a classmate or something like that. But if you're living with someone, you get past that kind of stuff normally, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the owl grades, I thought it was interesting that in the in the book it broke and made an actual like
Yeah.
chart
The
for Harry, but it didn't make it for any of the other
no,
kids.
they
Like,
didn't need
why
to do it for
not?
Hermione's.
Yeah, but
They could have though. They could have just had one page dedicated to all three of theirs next to each other. You know, like sideways page, like a
it
horizontally printed.
could have. It was just an interesting thing, and then mine had a page break. Like it started listing the grades and then had a page break, so the rest of them were at the top of the next page. But yeah, Harry did pretty good. Of course, you know, he did terrible in History of Magic and
Well, I heard
and
Justin trying to answer questions on that too. He would have failed also.
yes. and divination, of course.
Yes. Which, yeah. You have a teacher
Hermione
who.
okay.
Nothing.
Uh,
I was saying the teacher for divination is kind of a questionable.
yes.
Professor Tom,
But
Tom
Trelawney,
Trelawney.
but divination itself is a very non-reliable branch of magic, or
Yeah.
not non-consistent, you know. So um even when Ferenzi was teaching it, he was like, yeah, but centaurs, they have some divination that humans could never possibly conceive. And like, why are you trying to teach it to them then if they can't?
Yeah.
But then he was also saying like, yeah, we could look up at the stars and read it and think it says something, but not find out if that was true for 20 years. I'm like, that's just making a
Things up.
prediction.
Yeah.
That's just making a prediction and then seeing if it comes true.
I feel like AI generated predictions will be better.
uh, and of course, Hermione. So Hermione does great on her owls, although she was freaking out beforehand.
All right.
Welcome back from the longest bathroom break.
It took a
Chapter
while.
Chapter 6, Draco's Detour. In this chapter, oh, that's chapter 1. My notes. Let's see here. Go. All right. So at the burrow, you hear me fine?
Mhm.
Cool. All right. At the burrow, Harry and Hermione. There's a game of 2 versus 2 Quidditch. Harry and Hermione versus Ron and Ginny. They figured it would be um, kind of even at that point, just because Hermione kind of sucks and Ron kind of sucks. It's like, okay. Let's see. News. We get a lot of news that's passed from Mr. Weasley. So we find out things like Florian Fortescue and Ollivander are both missing from Diagon Alley. We're not sure if they're both been run off, killed, or what.
Yeah.
This is where we find out that Karkaroff was dead. Was found dead.
Was found dead. Yeah.
He is dead now. He's not. He was dead. He's currently still dead.
You know what would have been cool if he was a instead of he was found dead, his corpse was found as a
In
in
Fury.
fury, like attacking someone, just some random person. It's like, hey, it's
He's already dead.
Like if I was Voldemort, that's how I would announce that I've killed important people. I would have their dead corpse attack people.
That would be kind of almost like that episode of from season 2 of The Walking Dead, where Herschel put his or he put all of his congregation that had turned into zombies. He put them all in his farm's barn and locked the door and locked them in there and kept them alive in there to hopefully one day like cure them.
Yeah. That always works out good in zombie movies, right?
Yes. Oh, there's a timer. Oh, stupid me. All right, there's a stopwatch. I was hearing a beeping in my head, I apparently clicked on start timer instead of start stopwatch. So there we go.
All
But
right.
yeah,
So sorry for
no, that
Parker
that
Office
ep-
found it.
that episode
Mhm.
or sorry, in that season there was an episode that ended with the other people finding that out and opening the barn and letting them all come out, and then they just like shot them as they came out, and the dude was just like devastated. So spoilers for season 2 of The Walking Dead, but if you haven't watched that show yet, then
I've never actually watched it, but you know something? That is the best outcome that could come out of that.
yes,
Because he ain't gonna cure him, you know?
no. So next up in the chapter, we have the Weasleys. Harry and Hermione all go shopping in Diagon Alley. Hagrid meets them to serve as security because going out alone these days is not a great idea. We have Death Eaters and other things going on. Uh, this is where Harry runs into Narcissa and Draco while shopping for new robes.
Mhm.
And he's by himself when that happens. And there is a conversation that happens between them at that shop.
Yes.
Then Harry leaves, goes and joins everybody at the twins joke shop. And so the the twins have actually started to produce practical defense against the dark arts items. So they are essentially the was not Halliburton, right? It's one the Smith and Wesson or Lockheed Martin.
Yeah. I think
Doesn't Lockheed Martin create war weapons and things like that for
yes.
military items? Yeah. So the
Oh
twins
yeah.
have become
Oh yeah.
Lockheed Martin. um in addition to the other things that they create. They're like, oh, let's do some practical things as well and give it
It
to the ministry.
to me it sounded almost as though they made something as a joke, but they were like, this has great practical effect, like practical use. And they're like, wait, really? It's okay. And they're like, we need a lot of these. And I'm like, wait,
It
what?
was it was another avenue for money for them, and they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, let's do this. They
Weapon.
refused. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is a lesson for anyone listening that if you own a business and you manufacture something, if you can somehow turn it into a weapon or something that can be used against a weapon, do that. It's good.
Unless
And
you're
you'll
a
become
pacifist,
rich. And you
you
will
do.
become rich.
That's how you become rich. Or hey, I have this excellent book that you can buy that tells you my secret for becoming a millionaire. Okay. The book just costs $1 million.
Yes.
If you buy it, I will tell you how. All right.
Inside,
So,
get someone else to buy this book.
yes. I need multiple people so I can become a multi-millionaire.
If you
Um,
sell it to 1 million people, you're a billionaire.
that's
Mhm.
unfathomable. Um, so anyway, the twins, they refuse to let Harry pay for anything,
Mhm.
but they charge Ron. They give him they knock off the two Canuts so that or is it Canuts or sickles? It was one of the two. It was
Penny.
the lowest form of
Yeah, it's
currency.
it's the penny. It's like, okay, we'll drop the 2 cents.
While that's going on inside the joke shop, Harry sees Draco rushing down the street alone. He follows him to Borgin and Burke's with Hermione and Ron under the invisibility cloak. How so this invisibility cloak has to be like a gigantic king-size blanket.
Oh, it gets bigger every time they use it. Like in my mind, the invisibility cloak in itself isn't just magic that's invisible, but it will like if you need it bigger, it's bigger. Like it's
It's
like a
as big as you
Taurus. It's
want.
just yeah, it's bigger on the inside. It's a Taurus.
It is a
A,
TARDIS.
ta- a TARDIS. Whatever.
Or a magician's tent, because
Yes.
the tents at the Quidditch World Cup did that too. She stole that from Doctor Who.
Yes.
So while they're at Borgin and Burke's, they overhear Draco telling Borgin that he needs something mended. And then Hermione's attempt to get Borgin to spill the details after Malfoy leaves fails like miserably.
In D&D terms, she rolled a nat 1 on that.
She's like, "Oh, I like him, and I wanted to give him a birthday
I
present."
like him, and I want him to roll nat 1. He sees through your crap right away.
the, the words I won't state what Justin actually said in the game, but remember when Justin rolled.
Yeah, for the people listening, we were playing D&D with Justin, and I remember I was in I remember this because I was annoyed. My character was on the other side, and didn't like who they were talking to, so I was trying to get them to stop talking. So I cast a spell to make it smell like farts around them. So Justin was like, "We need to get out of here." He's talking to this guy at a bar. He's like, "You should just come with us into the back alley." And the guy was hesitant. And Justin, before rolling, said, "It's not like we're going to blank you." And then he rolled a nat 1 on top of saying that. I was just like,
Guy's like, "Are
no.
you? Are you? I believe you are."
I think what's funny is Jason was talking about that, how he's like, that was a whole quest line y'all did not get. Which is like that guy just walked away.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me. So something has happened multiple times in my life, and I cannot explain it. Um, it's happened like 3 times where I'm out. So my wife's never with me when this happens, but some rando woman at a bar, like, is just near where I am drinking or whatever, and she just turns to me and says, "Can you like?" Can you watch my drink while I go to the bathroom? I'm like, sure. And you're not gonna roofie me, are you? Like,
That's a I've watched people's drinks for that too, and it's sad that that's a thing.
right, but it's just weird. Guy, I don't know these women. Like, I met them within 30 minutes, and then they're just looking at
Yeah,
me going,
we're like,
"Hey, I can trust you not to roofie my drink while I go to the bathroom, right?" Like, me? Yes, but you don't know that.
yeah, you don't. I mean, I could tell you yes, but you don't know if I'm.
So yeah, that's that. Yeah,
You know
I'm
what?
not gonna
Yeah,
roofie you.
did you ever watch The League?
No.
So in The League, they have these dumb. It's just a dumb comedy show, and someone invented the bathroom cubby, which was a cubby that you hang up on the back of the bathroom door when you walk in there, and you could put things like if you're drinking a drink, you could put it in the cubby and stuff like that. They need to have like a big kind of cubby thing in the women's bathroom that they could just come in, set their drink, be like, "Oh, slot number 1, I'm putting my drink there."
Have your own
Because
little code.
you don't even need to go because I've never looked at the numbers, and I might be really wrong on this, but I bet if you look at the numbers, the number of men using roofies for horrible things versus the number of women using roofies for horrible things, I think like your drink would be safer in the women's bathroom.
Maybe. All right. So
All right, sorry, that was a
let's move away from the conversation of roofies.
yes.
Um, I mean, I'm usually not one to um be like trigger warning, but if that topped off anybody, I
Yes.
sincerely apologize. Um, so anyway, back to Harry Potter. Um, I believe you mentioned this uh before about so Mr. Weasley's new job of finding artifacts or whatever.
Hmm.
So in this scene, we have a pop-up shop that's outside of Flourish of Blots, where they're selling amulets that are effective against werewolves, dementors, and fury.
Yes.
Like, No, those probably don't work.
Yeah, and Mr. Weasley's like, only if I was only on duty. I'm like, you've been with anyone like I've had friends who are cops when they see someone doing some they're not supposed to. They're like, hey, I'm a cop. You're not supposed. I'm surprised he didn't just say like, hey, what are you doing? I'm with the ministry. Like,
Right.
on duty or not, you can still say something. Scare them. But yeah.
There was so here's an interesting
Not only
thing that
that, he like was like trying to get Jenny to give me. He's like, "Here, little girl, you want an amulet?" And it's like,
oh,
"Mm."
you're creepy,
Or one
man.
for your little girl, madam. He says, like, protect her pretty neck. I'd be like, like even if that's legit, I'd be like, no, man, like,
kind of it kind of reminds me of the flower salespeople at the Renaissance Festival.
yeah. You want to buy a flower for her? Don't you think your wife's so lovely? Don't you think she needs a flower? Don't you want to give her a flower? It's like, well, she's watching. She hears this.
Christy whispers in my ear, she goes, "You better not buy one." I think I hit the jackpot with my wife. So
Chrissy's cool.
if legit, if she tells me, "Hey, don't worry about doing X for any like celebration or holiday,"
Yeah,
and I don't do it, she does not come back and say, "Hey, why didn't you do it?" I'm like, I don't have to go, "Well, you told me not to." Like, she will get mad if I do it when she said not to.
yeah. Me and my wife have a bad habit of saying we're not going to do something for something, like like Valentine's Day. It's like we won't do anything for Valentine's Day. Next thing you know, it's like, well, I could grab a couple steaks. We could just do some steaks or something for Valentine's Day. That sounds good. But we're not exchanging gifts. No, no. Well, I was thinking about buying you like something small. Is that cool? Yeah, yeah. Next thing you know, we're just doing it. But we both gradually get there every time we say we're not doing something.
Yeah, our birthdays are all in February, so um Christy is just totally like, we don't have to celebrate Valentine's Day. Uh but yeah, back to Harry Potter.
Very false.
Narcissa, uh
Sissy.
she is super comfortable with threatening, like giving death threats to children in public.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "I expect Potter will be reunited with dear Sirius before I am reunited with Lucius." Like, it's crazy. Like the amount of um confidence and like security she has to say that.
Yeah. Like that whole scene was a bit like not just I want to say a bit much, but like all of them going in there. Like I don't think ever in a point in my life if I saw someone I loathed in public, I would start calling them out and mess with them. Either way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a very confrontational person, but like everyone in that scene was confrontational. Like, let's do it. Let's go. They're all
Now,
bone up for a fight. It's like, what?
did you take away anything from the conversation in the robe shop between Draco, Narcissa, and Harry?
Nothing too much. Nothing that I have in my notes of anything outstanding. Did you?
Yeah, nothing stood out specifically about it. It was just like, oh, hey, they ran into each other, and just kind
They
of
really hate each other.
sets up that they're in the same place, and
The
then he's acting kind of suspicious and then runs away. Like, I guess what it sets up is that his when Harry sees him with his mom is being super protective of him. So when he sees him running down the street in front of Flourish and Blotts by himself, I
yeah,
guess that tips Harry off that he's up to something. Because like other his mom wouldn't let him go off by himself.
yeah,
So he's like, let's go see what he's doing. And I guess that was the whole, like, I guess the conversation wasn't important. Just seeing him in
establishing
action.
him there and there.
Yeah.
Also, it does the arm thing, where when At one point, because he's trying on robes, they are fitting the robes, and as she's pulling up the arm, he like pulls
Oh,
away and
he
stops her.
pulls. Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Ah, you're hurting me." But later, a little spoiler for later on in I think it's I think it's chapter the one where they're on the train, Slug Club, the next chapter.
Yes.
Harry brings that up as some evidence. So there is
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And that's not really a spoiler. Most people should have read through
Yeah.
chapter 10. So Chris, I have a question for you. Why are you worrying about you know who? You should be worrying about you know poo, the constipation sensation that's gripping the nation.
Big old letters right there.
I think I just like lolled really loud.
Oh yeah. You gotta love the Weasley twins. I love their
Um,
shop. I'd visit their shop on Diagon Alley.
I do. I do love their shop. And they man, they make some great magic items. There's just like throwing spells on all sorts of different items. And in so in D&D, like shield cloaks, shield gloves, things, all those wouldn't stack. You could have one object with that on it,
Yeah.
and
Trust me,
that's
I
it.
know I tried.
But yeah, and like you said, they created the shield hats as a bit of a laugh because it's like, oh, hey, let's put shield on these hats and have people walk around, and then their friend will cast some weird hex on them, and it'll reflect off, and they'll be like, what? And then
Yeah.
the ministry was like, hey, this is actually really
This
cool.
is
Can you
useful.
make these? Can you make
Can
these? Like,
It's like this
sure.
is nice. How much is that? I don't know, like 10 galleons. Cool. We need 1,000 of them. Again, anyone that's listening, go into the arms business.
Then I need to try something.
What do you need? Excuse me for a second.
To be a fairy.
Well, you look beautiful. You want to say hey to Mr. Brandon?
Hey.
Hi,
You can say hey to Mr.
Nora.
Brandon. This is my daughter.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Go back in your room.
I can't find my bearing.
They're in your bed, I think. They're somewhere around there. I just saw them. They're on the floor in the bed.
I don't
Your blue fairy wings are in there. They might be in the living room.
know.
Well, the blue fairy wings is all we have. We can't find the rainbow. The rainbow ones got broken.
Uh, anything else of note for this chapter?
Um, Nothing too much except, yeah, that my only real note from this chapter is, oh my God, how big is the invisibility cloak?
Oh yeah. And revisiting this chapter, I really think the book would have like this chapter would have hit differently, and you would have suspected different things if it wasn't for chapter 2. Yes.
I
Totally.
am
Like
I am now under the impression, until something changes my mind, that she wrote it without chapter 2 and then went back and put in chapter 2 because people were like, dude, that came out of nowhere. And it's like, all right, all right, all right. The clues were there, but no.
really, it came out of nowhere. Like,
I know.
so chapter 7, the
Yeah.
Slug Club.
Slug Club.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I
I
I
like
picture them all in like puffy velvet, like maroon, like like dinner, like smoking jackets with Slug Club right here.
it's like
All right.
It's a
almost like
trophy.
oh, look at
She has
that.
a
You got
little
a trophy?
trophy.
Yeah.
What's that trophy for?
It's from Tumble Time.
Tumble
Everyone
time.
gets a trophy from Tumble Time. Only the ones that go to Tumble Time, not the ones that don't go to Tumble Time.
Would I get a trophy if I went to Tumble time?
Yeah, but you're not a kid. Only kids can.
I'm a kid at heart. I'm a
Can
big
he
kid.
wait, can he have tricks?
No,
No.
No, he can't have tricks. Why not?
because Tumble Time is only for kids.
Not Tumble Times. Tricks, the cereal.
It's only for kids.
All right, go in your room. I'll see you when the timer goes off. You gotta go play till the timer goes off, okay?
Okay, I just the only way Barry always has rooms.
Then you're gonna be a sprite. Sprites don't have wings. Sprites are fairies without wings. But you know what sprites do?
What?
They skip everywhere. So if you go in your room as a sprite, you gotta skip.
Can you skip off screen? Can you skip to your room? Skip to your room, my darling.
What about hop to your room?
I can't call, but I don't want to do anything.
All right, you can just walk to your room. I'll come and get you when the timer goes off.
So Smoking Jackets and Red Velvet, almost like Sebastian Shaw and the Hellfire Club. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like that's what I picture with the Slug Club.
I've been watching X-Men 97.
I need to
know if
watch
you-
it. Is it good?
Dude, it is amazing. And I think episode 4 or 5 actually has a 9.8 rating on IMDb.
Jesus.
And then the last 3 episodes, I haven't finished, I have 4 episodes left, but I saw the last 3 episodes have over a 9 point, like I think 9.4 is the lowest rating of the last 3 episodes.
Okay,
So-
I'm gonna give it a whirl.
It's really good, but Sebastian Shaw is in there, and Emma Frost. So like he and Emma Frost are there, and a whole lot of other mutants. But yeah, so but the Slug Club, Smoking
Yes.
Jackets. So before we get to the actual Slug Club, Harry and the other kids conjecture on the reason that Draco was at Borgin and Burke's.
Mhm.
Harry suggests that because of Draco's tender arm, just like you said, his tender arm reaction to Madame Malkin, he is now a marked Death Eater. And then Hermione and Ron disagree. On the way to the train, Harry tells Mr. Weasley, who doesn't believe him, and Harry gets mad. Who knows what you know who wants? Like he's like, who knows what you know who wants? Like you don't, I don't, but Draco is a Death Eater.
Yeah.
You had
Mhm.
something? Did you have something?
Oh, I do, but I'll tell you after because
Okay.
it has to do with that, but it's one of those conversations, you know what I mean?
Good. So then Harry and Neville on the train get invited to Slug Club, which is in another compartment, or yeah. They've Ginny when they get there. Ginny is there as well. They meet a whole lot of other kids that have connections, like famous parents or some whatever, or they know somebody famous. And Ginny got invited because Slughorn actually saw her cast a hex, and he's like, hey, she knows how to cast hexes. I want her in my club. Hermione is not there. And then on the way back, Harry puts on the cloak. It sneaks into
Nora, you
Slytherin's
gotta stay in your room.
carriage.
What do you need to tell me?
I think I might have learned pretendlings.
All right, Nora, you gotta stay in your room till the timer goes off. You're being punished, though. Remember?
Yeah,
I love you.
these are my favorite glasses. and
They're
these are my
beautiful.
favorite shoes.
Those are beautiful fairy shoes. I love you.
The joys of fatherhood.
Yes.
So on the way back from Slug Club, Harry puts on his cloak, like ditches Neville, and sneaks into the Slytherin carriage after what's that dude's name? So
oh, the
the
Slytherin
Slytherin
ones.
guy, yeah. I forget his name.
Is it Zambi?
The Zabini. It might be.
Zabini, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think might be Zabini. So yeah, he follows him, and it's funny because he's pushing. I'm sorry, he's pushing Harry's pushing the door as Zabini's trying to close it,
Yeah.
and then he like slams it open, runs in, and then everybody's looking at Zabini like, "What the hell is going on with you, dude?" Then he climbs up. And I've got something to say about this later. Hopefully, I'll remember. He climbs up into the little luggage compartment on the top.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a climb right there. Somehow invisible the whole.
Yeah, Malfoy. Then Malfoy openly talks about serving Voldemort to everybody in the thing, as what's her name? Pansy Parkinson is like
Yeah,
stroking his
stroking
hair.
his hair, which he's laying in her lap, and I'm like,
And then after they're all leaving, Draco actually has this like feeling that Harry's in there. So after everybody leaves, he casts a Petrificus Totalis on him, and he falls out and then stomps his face and leaves him covered. So
yeah. Tell me about the luggage rack. What was your thought?
Okay, so the luggage rack. It's a cloak, an invisibility cloak, right? It's not an
Yeah.
invisibility suit that he zips in his whole self into. So it's open at the bottom. How is he climbing up and nobody just looks up and goes, "Hey, there's Harry."
Yeah. You know what's great? I want to bring up something about the invisibility cloak.
Go ahead.
One moment, Nora, in your room.
Let me tell you something.
What do you need to tell me?
My dogs are open.
Then you cannot. Then it's probably being washed right now. It's dirty.
Oh.
Invisibility cloak.
Can I talk about book 7?
No.
Okay, then I will not bring up what I was going to say about the invisibility cloak. But yeah, what blows my mind the most about that is he covers Harry back up with the invisibility cloak, which is smart, but there's enough people that are going to find Harry at some point. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be fine. Yada yada. I would have took the cloak. I mean, like, think about this: the cloak's invisible, so if you fold it the right way, no one's going to see it.
Right.
So I would take it, immediately hide it in something of mine where no one would see it and be like, "That's mine now, mother." Like,
Free magic item.
yeah, not just free magic item. It's like, if we're doing D&D terms, it is a high level artifact item, like one of a kind special item. Like, it's a. I want to say something going back to. I forgot about something on chapter 6, and that is Fenrir Greyback. When Malfoy is talking with the shop owner, and he's telling him, he's like, "You need to get this item. I'm gonna get it repaired, and you need to help repair it. And, but leave it here, but don't let anyone buy it." Blah, blah, blah. And it's this little like 15-year-old kid barking at this dude who's been, like a grizzly old shopkeeper who's been doing this for years, selling to all kinds of dark witches and all kinds of dark magic stuff. But he gets them to follow him by doing something which Harry believes was showing him the dark mark. But then he also said that Fenrir Greyback would be coming by time to time to check on him and the item. He did not say that, and all three of them heard that. He did not say that while talking to Mr. Weasley. I have a feeling if he said, "Hey, Fenrir Greyback," he said that Fenrir Greyback's gonna be there. I don't know who that is, but right when he said it, the shopkeep looked concerned and worried and said, "No, that's not necessary." So I'm assuming this is a bad guy. Immediately, Mr. Weasley would know who that is. And even if they didn't like immediately do something about it, they would definitely set up sting operations or something to catch him. Like, it would go from Mr. Weasley just kind of throwing it off to being like, "Oh, okay, this is something."
Right.
But also if he did that, the whole book would just be kind of like
It's like,
it's now
it's
Harry
over.
Harry Potter and the sting operation at the curiosity shop. Like, Very different book. Very Mr. Weasley centric.
I have some highlights and notes here.
Hmm.
One thing, so Neville replaces his wand because at the ministry, his grandmother's, no, his mother's wand. It was either his mother's or his father's wand, whatever wand he had, it belonged to one of his parents, was broken, so he had to get a new one. And so one of the last wands that Ollivander sold is
Father.
Neville's. Yeah. So he lost his
Yeah.
father's wand, and now he bought one. Um, so Neville is actually Luke Skywalker.
Hmm.
Um, if Luke Skywalker was not the chosen one.
Yeah. Well,
um,
I think it was in the last book because they talk about how Neville's birthday is the same day as Harry's.
yeah, they do
Like,
like well, he was born around the same.
yeah, like the prophecy, when it was heard, it was like, oh, this is Harry Potter. But it was like, this could have been Neville.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, if it was Neville, like this, Neville and the Half Blood Prince doesn't have the same sound to it,
No,
Even though it is on theme of the overall podcast, the actor who plays Neville is jacked.
he is. He
He
had they
started
call it
he
a
started
glow up.
lifting weights.
They I heard people say a glow up.
Hmm.
All right, so Harry, we get another instance and find out that Harry is like very empathetic. Um, so let's see. Luna. Luna said she liked the DA because it was like having friends. And then Harry says his feelings is this was one of the most uncomfortable things Luna often said, and which made Harry feel a squirming mixture of pity and embarrassment. So like he's very like Luna's kooky, but she's innocent and she feels like she doesn't have friends.
You know, if you had a friend like that and you went through the things that you've gone through with like that they went through with Luna. Not just like, oh, we're becoming friends, we're understanding each other. Like he rode with her. They talked about the dead horses that he could now see in earlier books. Like went through all the trauma, everything. Like he did a lot with Luna. They've done a lot together as friends. At some point, I could see a person just questioning. It's like, why don't you consider me a friend? I consider you a friend. We're friends. Like, this. Like, why are you like, it's almost like we're friends. It's like, we're
We
friends.
friends, yeah.
I'm your friend. Are you?
We went
Or
through something together.
you are my friend. I want to be your friend. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I might just be
Um
like, that was a
uh,
because I know she's. I would think at this point she would consider them friends. Maybe not. Maybe the fact that she doesn't have a lot of friends and she likes having more friends, but at least you know those people friends.
yeah. S-
Trying to think.
the I was going to point out with Luna being kooky, that right just shortly after this is Luna who is now wearing her free Spectre specs, which gave her the look of a demented, multicolored owl.
She loves it.
um, let's see. I heard the timer go off, but I think we can finish
I think we can as well.
this chapter. Um, there was a bit here where Harry is contemplating prophecies and how silly they can seem if somebody were to just choose not to do one small thing that it was required for it. So like there's podcasts I listened to they were reading through the Wheel of Time, and there's a whole lot of prophecy in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And like the characters who the prophecy is about, they know about the prophecy, but then they're like they don't understand what it means, but then they have free will to choose to not go to this certain place. So then they're like, well, what does the prophecy even mean if they don't do it. And so the paragraph I'm talking about, it says, had Voldemort chosen Neville, it would be Neville sitting opposite Harry, bearing the lightning-shaped scar and the weight of the prophecy. Or would it? Would Neville's mother have died to save him as Lily had died for Harry? Surely she would. But what if she had been unable to stand between her son and Voldemort? Would there then have been no chosen one at all? An empty seat where Neville now sat and scarless Harry, who would have been kissed goodbye by his own mother and not Ron's? Yeah, I,
It
prophecies are very interesting things.
I hate self-fulfilling prophecies. And they appear so much. The Harry Potter prophecy is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if the prophecy did not exist, Voldemort would not have sought out Harry and then caused the prophecy to happen. So the prophecy only happened because the prophecy exists.
So then that still begs the question if Trelawney is actually a true seer.
Prophet or future something. Uh, the
Uh,
best, the best, one of the best prophecies ever that is not a self-fulfilling prophecy, because most prophecies are when you really get into it. But the best one ever was from South Park, and it was the Craig episode where like the Craig was hanging out with the guys, and they went to Peru to like fight giant hamsters or something. And Craig's like, I don't want to be here. This is dumb. You guys keep following this stuff, and that's why I'll keep doing such dumb things. I don't want to be here. And they like walk in there and they see Craig on the wall. And they're like, Craig, you're the only one that can stop this. He's like, I want no part of this. And he walks away. And when he walks away, he steps on a stone that like lifts him up and goes like, oh, and he kills all the hamsters on accident. And he's like, I just wanted to stay home and play video games. I'm like, that's a good prophecy because it was something they didn't even know about, but it was prophesized that he would do this, and he did it. Like that's a good prophecy. Give that follow that prophecy. It's like this is a true prophecy. All right, sorry.
no, you're good. Two other things, two other notes I had here. So one, let's talk about Marietta for a second, or rather, let's talk about Cho. Why in the world is Cho still friends with Marietta, who ratted out the entire Dumbledore's army in the previous book? Like, there's times to forgive people and keep them around, but when it was something so
You
dire
know,
like that, where it affected so many people, it's ridiculous.
but wasn't she like kind of semi-tortured to give it up? I thought
No,
she was like writing lines and had to give it up, kind of the way Harry did. No, she just
no.
straight up told them. I don't forgot that.
Yeah, she's a narc. Her mother was a narc too. So her mother was the one that was watching the Flu Network. They're a family of narcs.
You know what? Cho was in on it the whole time. That's what this is. Cho was a mole.
Yes. And then the other thing I had here is Zabini's mother. So Zabini's mother had been married 7 times, and each of her husbands died mysteriously, leaving her mounds of gold. 7 times, and nobody starts to question it.
Yeah, at that point, I'd be like, Oh, I'm trying to find something in here I wanted to bring up. I didn't underline it all. So who is it that Zabini knows that Slughorn is like, oh my God, let's be part of my thing? That's what I'm
Oh,
trying to
let's
remember.
see.
Because there was the one boy who was like, oh, I don't really talk to him, but I can't remember who that was.
So Blaze Zabini is in year 4.
hmm
Um, let's see. Where does he say about Zabini? Do 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 do.
It's just, I'm trying
So
to.
do do. Sorry. So Cormac, his uncle Tiberius, was a hunter
Yeah.
and knows Scrimgeour. Oh no, Zabini was invited because of his mother being a famously beautiful witch.
That's
The exact reason we talked about. It's exactly
that's his
why.
mother. Okay. My brain. All right. Yeah, that's right. I apologize. But yeah,
No, you're
man.
fine.
I like this chapter, but yeah, the one issue with this chapter, as you so stated, was the end of it. How just the mechanics of climbing in a like the whole thing behind the invisibility. That's the second chapter in a row where it ends with us not talking about content, but about just how does this thing function and actually keep them hidden. Like,
That's still some of the best conversations, though.
yeah, but I mean, like, it is a well, if I was ever a writer, I would put something in there like it. So if I didn't know how to get people where I wanted them to, I would just be like, oh, this works. They're there.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. I think that's all I got from this chapter. Just
I think so too.
would you tell me if you were invited to Slug to be part of the Slug Club, and after that, let's say that was your first meeting, and whenever because he spoiler, he keeps inviting people back to be part of the Slug Club. It's not just a one-time thing. Would you be looking forward to them?
I don't know. It'd be interesting, but also why, like, he hasn't established anything except that here's a meeting of minds. So
Yeah. Sorry. I just saw Nora running around like crazy with stuff in her hand. I'm like, what is she doing? But yeah, like
maybe you should take care of that for a second.
I think he's just looking to be like, hey, my friends, do you like like to put him in his collection, but maybe
Yeah, that's how I feel, but it would be weird, like, if there wasn't a
he wants to
purpose,
be
like
the next husband. He wants to be Zabini's next stepdad. Like he's like, I'm already old. I'm here at Hogwarts and everything's going bad, so I'm gonna die soon anyway. I might as well be married to a beautiful witch and live in the lap of luxury for a little while.
for a year or two
Yeah, for a
before
year
I
or two.
die.
Like, I mean, what? How much longer do I really have? I might as well make the last couple of years awesome. You know,
Yeah,
he's smart. I see what he's doing. I can get behind that.
yeah.
And what he's gonna do. And then right when it's about to get like after a couple of years, he'll start slipping her love potions because he's a master potion maker. Keep
He
her
is.
into it. But if
Prevent
you
him from
give
dying.
people potion motions for a while, but then you take them off the love potions, sometimes they don't love you back.
Dad.
Maybe that's something in a later chapter that y'all should have read. You need to go to bed now, don't you?
Yeah, because it's hard as well.
It did.
All
All
right,
right.
so we'll pick this up.
We got it. Yes. I'm gonna brush her teeth and put her to bed. I will
Can I
see
have
you
some
back.
books?
Yes, I'm gonna read you. And you can read me a couple. She started reading. It's nice.
Nice.
She actually will like a lot of them are from memory, but sometimes she'll say the wrong word. Like she'll like be like, "Oh, he goes and stands by the rock." I'm like, "It doesn't say rock." She's like, "He stands by the stone." I'm like, "That's right." So, all right, you want to wave bye? You can wave bye.
Good night,
Look, that's you
Nora.
right there. You see yourself?
Yeah.
Wave. There you go. All right, that's
Ooh.
Ooh.
it. All right.
All right, chapter 8, Snape Victorious. This one's
Yeah.
kind of a small chapter here. So we have Tonks rescues Harry from the train at the beginning. Then Snape and not Hagrid. So I've got audio echoing back at your my voice is echoing back into your microphone.
It is.
I don't know if you changed your positioning.
I have not changed anything.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep going. Maybe my voice got louder.
Maybe.
All right. So
Let's see if
Snape,
this
not
helps. Keep going.
okay. Snape, not Hagrid, escorts Harry into the Great Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Harry's face is all bloodied. Snape deducts points from Gryffindor before they even get into the grounds.
Yeah.
And then Harry misses his third sorting ceremony in 6 years.
He doesn't like him. It's not. He's already sorted. Why does he need to be there?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of mentioned. He kind of mentions that he misses a whole lot of them, or he has mentioned in the past books that I think it was so he was at the first one, then he missed the second and the third year, and then the fourth year he was like, "Oh, I'm back." Yeah, I've got a bad echo. I don't know what's going on there. You good?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
trying to add.
sorry, people. We have some technical difficulties. Trying to make things a better experience for your ears. Our go-to for that is silence, by the way.
Yes. Sorry, I do apologize.
That was a joke there, Chris.
Yeah.
So Harry's friends end up questioning him about the Slug Club. We find out big twist switcheroo here that Snape is actually the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, while Slughorn is the potions teacher. Which, we as the reader thought it was going to be the other way around, as did Harry. He expected when he first met Slughorn that Slughorn was going to be the new DADA professor. And we also learn about there's new fortifications around Hogwarts. I think they
Yes.
mentioned it in a previous chapter, but here Dumbledore tells the students in the school. Yeah.
I am trying to get my headphone to connect to my computer. It says it's connected, but it will not let me switch over audio to it.
So I haven't heard my voice come back. So I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and of
But yeah,
course,
that's
once I told you that, it came back. Maybe it's reflecting off of your face or that shiny head.
needs to be shared.
uh, do you have anything to add to this? I do have a question about a word in here.
What is the question? Which word?
So I do believe Tonks. I think Tonks said this. Uh, so he, oh yeah, when Tonks came to rescue him, she says, "Watcher Harry." Wotcher.
I noticed that too, and I was like, "What?" I had
It's
that circle,
just,
but I was like, I don't think that I at the time I was like the other one was a mess up, but this one seems right for some reason, just weird, like a British thing maybe.
let's see, what does Watcher mean in Harry Potter? It's British slang term that appears in Harry Potter as a greeting between Tonks and Harry Potter. It's a shortened version of what cheer, which was 17th century slang for what's up. What you doing?
What? Watch it, Harry.
Watch it, Harry.
I'm,
All right.
I'm
That
gonna
was.
fug you up.
Please don't. It's already foggy enough. Uh, the other thing to point out, Mr. Filch has banned all joke items bought from the Weasley's Wizarded Wheezies.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? You think it's just a grudge that Mr. Filch has for the twins?
Oh yeah, but at the same time, if I was in his job, I would also do that. Because with everything else going on, the last thing you need is all the students running in here with the hottest, coolest, craziest prank items you've ever seen. That's the last thing you need. Like, yeah, if I didn't know anything about it beforehand, I would have been like, yeah, that's a practical move. I'd hate it as a student, but it was a practical move.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. And this chapter was very much a transition chapter, getting Harry from there to into Hogwarts. And like it had a few fun things. This is the one where Hagrid accosted Harry, right? Or is that the next? Well, about like, are you going to be part or I can't wait to see y'all in my class.
I think that might have been at the beginning of the next
The next
chapter.
one. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he all right, so yeah, I got nothing in this one other than that.
Okay, so last
I was looking for
question
my
with this
notes, but yeah.
chapter. Last question on this chapter then. And I have my own theory, but what do you think the chapter title refers to?
Oh no, it is at the end of this chapter. So at the
Oh.
very end of this chapter, Harry asked them, or Hagrid's just like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you in my class." It's like,
Oh no.
they should have just told them then, like, "Hey, couldn't fit it in."
Right.
But
But they didn't tell him anything yet.
they were just like, "Okay,
It's like, okay. And then they
okay,
just don't show up to his class,
yeah."
But
But,
what do you think the chapter title refers to?
oh, Snape getting the position he's always wanted, hands down. Like Snape
Yeah.
victorious, it's him getting position.
Yeah, I like that. And like I mentioned before, the chapter titles in this book are a little more clever and not just, like the first task, like in Goblet of
Yeah,
Fire. The second task. Like, oh, okay, that's what this chapter's about.
yeah,
And I think she puts a little more kind of, it's not really like a mystery detective story like the first two books are,
yeah.
but there
And the
is a
third,
lot of that mystery here. They're not necessarily trying to solve something,
there's a lot of unknown and intrigue,
right? And
not a
we're
lot of
we're
investigation. Just a
we're
little.
gonna get to a lot of that in chapter 10 because they like in Dumbledore's just like, I'll tell you things in time, but hey, let's just experience this. But we'll get to
Let's
that
do
in chapter
this.
10.
This won't be traumatizing to you at all. Not after what you've been through.
Yeah, you can handle this, son.
You got this.
All right, so we'll move on to chapter 9, the Half-Blood Prince.
That's the name of the book.
Oh,
You said the
you
name of
mean
the
there's a
book.
chapter? There's a chapter with the same name of the book?
Mind blow.
Yeah.
Best author ever.
Nobody's ever done this before. It's like no band has ever had a song be the same name as the album.
No. Why would
No.
you do that?
Why? No. That's the dumbest thing ever.
It's like in movies. No one ever says the name of the movie in this. You don't see Luke Skywalker going, I'm going to get into a Star War.
You fought in the Clone Wars? Like, what the hell are the Clone Wars? Like, I thought this was Star Wars.
What
What's
gun the
Clone
Clone
Wars?
Wars have? Oh, he said the
He
thing.
said it. Oh God! I like how Star Wars like. So I was a big fan of the expanded universe, and I've read a
Yes.
lot of that. Um, one of my favorite authors with the expanded universe is actually Timothy Zahn, which he wrote kind of I think the first three books that came out and introduced Thrawn. So he's responsible for
Okay.
creating the
I didn't know
Thrawn
that he was.
character.
I love Thrawn.
Um, and so a lot of his books actually deal with Thrawn. Um, and so one of the characters in the books was a Jedi Master Joris Seaboth. And so they had the artistic freedom and license to create things what they mean, right? And so like
Yeah.
in the expanded universe, the Clone Wars was like, oh, well, they cloned some of the Jedi. And so like there were all these clone, like the Jedi Master Jorus C'baoth. Spoiler alert, if this is non-canon for Star Wars, but it
It's not
is
canon.
in
It's not a
these
spoiler.
it's in these books.
Let me let him out of this room. Come on, Brenna.
Uh,
Get out of this room.
but he was like one of the clones of the original Jedi Master. So he was kind of going crazy, but he was like
Yeah.
teaching Luke some more stuff. And so it's like was part of that thing. And then the movies first when the prequels came out, now it was, oh no, the clones were just like a clone of a normal person, a mercenary that created an army that the Jedi then led into battle to help, the army of the Republic. I
Yeah.
was like, how did they change that so much? But anyway,
There's actual spoilers I want to get into for something that was out in the last couple of years. I don't want to go into that.
yeah, we're
With
not
the
going to go into that.
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not going to go into those
Yeah.
things.
This is a
So
Harry Potter podcast.
actually, no, this is a Harry Potter episode
That's true. That's true.
of a book reading podcast.
Yes.
Thank you. So Harry,
On a side note, I convinced one of my teachers that because I found, like because when the movies come out, they make a book of the movie. And I convinced one of my teachers that Star Wars, the books came out first, even though I knew better. And I'm like, you lived it. You should have known this. But I convinced her. So she said, okay, you can do that. It was like for some assignment, like, I could read them and, do projects on them. But she's like, you have to use books, not movies. You can't use movies or books based off of movies. I was like, no, the book came out first. It's okay. So she's like, oh, okay. So I like did Star Wars Legos and stuff. Like I'm just like, yeah, this is from a book.
So Half-Blood Prince, Hermione confiscates banned items as a prefect.
Mhm.
Um, McGonagall does a review of everybody's schedules just to ensure that everybody has enough owls to continue their courses. And Harry was like, well, I can't become an Auror. I can't continue potions because I didn't get enough owls. At which point McGonagall's like, well, that was when Snape was the potions professor, but Slughorn would gladly take you into his class. Do you want to take it? And he's like, oh yeah, let me take the class. Um, and let's see, Harry holds Quidditch. He sets up the Quidditch trials, so he can choose the Gryffindor team. Then in Dark Arts, Snape is teaching non-verbal spell casting. Harry then tells Snape that he doesn't have to call him sir, which gets Harry detention.
Such a good moment. It's like, sir, you don't need to call me sir. And everyone's just like, oh. The moment. It's like the gif of the dude just, oh.
Yeah. The Dumbledore sets up his first private lesson at the same time as the detention that Snape was supposed to have, and then tells Harry the office password. Now, look, you shouldn't be telling students your office password.
What's the
But at
Wi-Fi
this
password?
point, but at this point, Harry knows the theme of the password and has guessed it already once. So if he doesn't know it, he can just continue to name out candies, and eventually he will get into Dumbledore's office.
Yes.
Moving on to potions class, Slughorn lends his supplies to Harry and Ron because they have both not planned on taking class. Hermione was able to identify all of the potions, which got her on Slughorn's good side. Then Slughorn goes into great detail on the love potion, a Mortentia. I wonder if that's going to come into play later on in the book. Then he introduces another potion, Felicis, yeah,
Felix Felicis.
or the luck potion, and then creates a competition where the prize is one vial of it. And of course, Harry ends up winning that potion thanks to his old copy of Advanced Potion Making, which is signed at the beginning, the Half-Blood Prince, property of the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
And there's several annotations in it. Some things are scratched out, we find out, and then there's a lot of writing in the margin. And Harry was able to make the most perfect draft of Living Death that Slughorn has ever seen, and it was even better than Hermione's. And Hermione was like, "What are you doing? That's not how you make it."
So
So,
in school, believe it or not, I was a little bit of a, I want to say a goody two shoes, but I was very much like a, the high achieving student. I was just like follow the instructions, do it, they said. And I was very confident when I was doing things that I would be, top, not necessarily top, but like one of the better people in the class. And I would definitely be like, if I saw someone doing something different, especially if we're creating a deadly poison. There's also a safety net, which I just want to get about. He has a bunch of students creating something called living death. Like,
does he explain what that does?
no, 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 no. Just we're gonna just make them. Just gonna
I
make.
actually, I think,
He says something like, I think like an ounce of it's more than enough to kill everyone here, or like a dot of it.
I think Snape may have had them create it before as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, maybe not. So apparently it's a drink that makes them fall into a death-like sleep, similar to suspended animation. Okay,
That
this is
explains the title, Living Death.
this is not a responsible thing.
No.
But maybe that's why it's 6 year,
Yeah.
It's a newt level
By the
potion.
way, speaking of Newt, I actually forgot what Newt meant, and I had to look it up. Do you remember what it means?
Um I mean, obviously the W is wizarding.
Yes, it is nastily exhausting wizarding test. That's weird that they have nastily exhausting in their name of like their official. It's like, oh, here's your AP class. But no, it's like, here's your really hard class. That's what they're going to call it now. We're going to call it RFH, really hard, or HAF, hard AF class. You have,
But isn't OWL ordinary wizarding level?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you just want to call them animals.
Yeah, so I really love McGonagall continues to come through and shine as one of my favorite characters because she is encouraging Neville because Neville's like, no, I'm not going to take this because my grandmother says this.
Like, screw your
And
grandmother. Oh,
she's like, what do you want to do? Don't do what your grandmother wants you to do. Do what you want to do.
to be fair, I had someone tell me, I was like, don't listen to your mom. Listen to what I say. And that's how I got addicted to heroin for 20 years. No.
And you come home and tell Mom, my teacher said I didn't have to listen to you. What?
I didn't have to listen to you. You don't know everything. I'm my
Can you
own
imagine?
man.
Can you imagine if Alex went home to his dad and said, Dad, My teacher, my professor said I didn't have to become this.
Poor Alex. So I got two comments about this chapter.
Okay, go ahead.
First, or two notes I have. The first one is about the love potion that you brought up.
I have a comment about that too. Go ahead.
So mine is Draco's response to it, where he kind of like snarfs at a love potion. And I'm like, Draco is obviously a very intelligent wizard. As much as he does everything else, he's very intelligent. He's also very scheming. He's thoughtful in a not like a not an empathic way, but in a like almost a planning sort of way. He's very
Scheming.
he goes, he would understand the powers that something causing intense devotion towards someone could do.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like him scoffing at is just a way to kind of be like, oh, bad Malfoy. Look at Malfoy just not understanding love. But it's like, no, like, in fact, especially with Malfoy having like really wanting his father's attention and stuff like that, like, there's no way he wouldn't. That struck me. I was like, I could see someone else scoffing at it. I could see Ron scoffing at it. And in fact, maybe it would be funnier if Ron scoffed at it, not Draco. But that's my comment. What's your comment about the love potion?
So this love potion, right? It's supposed to smell different for each person based on what attracts them.
Oh yeah.
And Hermione's to Hermione, it smells like freshly mown grass and new parchment. She likes writers who do their own yard work.
I have two really weird smells I love, like absolutely love. One of them is the smell of freshly cut grass. So much so where there's like it was a weed whacker beer done by the St. Arnold's that does lawnmower. It was a special weed whacker beer. The taste was just like freshly smoked grass. It was the
No.
weirdest thing, and I loved it. The other smell I love is gasoline.
How did I know you were going to say that? Because one thing I cannot stand is the mixed smell of freshly cut grass and gasoline together.
Not the two together. Not the two together. They have to be separate. I like the smell of freshly cut grass, and I like the smell of gasoline. Not fresh cut grass, and that's too much. That smells bad.
Hold on one second. My audio's messing up again, so give me 1 second to reconnect these. Why did you stop?
I was waiting for you to tell me you were reconnected.
It told you it reconnected?
No, I was just waiting for
Oh.
you to tell me you were reconnected.
It was. Were you actually talking or were you just
No,
mouthing?
I was just mine.
Which is funny because right when it connected, you had stopped and were still. I was like, it was perfectly timed. I was like, I really wanted it to connect, and you continue to do that, and
I'm
you just go like,
screaming like.
all right. So
This is for all
sorry
the
about the
podcast listeners that
silence.
aren't watching the video.
All right, it sounds better now. Sometimes, occasionally, my earbuds, it just like starts this electronic like every time you make noise, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But good thing is it doesn't record it.
Okay, that's good.
It's just in my ear. Yeah, unless it does record it, and then hey, everybody, yeah, it fixes it when I do it, when I disconnect and reconnect.
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
So
there's this podcast. I'm not gonna name drop other podcasts, but there's another one I listen to, and in it, they were during COVID and stuff. They were recording at the main guy's house, and he had his phone and everything hooked up to his computer, and it kept dinging. And like it's a prominent podcast. He was like like decently big celebrities like Bob Odenkirk and stuff goes in there, but they couldn't get the ding to stop every time I got any kind of notification or text message or anything. And one guy that's on there does great in like voices and different characters. And every time it dinged, it was like he acted like it was a phone call coming in and a new character. And like during the show, he had like 40 different characters show up. And he just kept having to make up new ones. And by the end of it, he's like, I'm Sausage Man and sausage here to give you sausage. Ding. Thank God Sausage Man left. Like,
uh,
anyway.
The last note I have here is about the Felix Felicis potion, and it's stated here that so a kid named Terry Boot, uh, who is the first time I'm hearing this person and his name in this is in this book, but he asks, why don't people drink it all the time? And Slughorn's response is because if it taken in excess, it causes giddiness, recklessness, and dangerous overconfidence. Too much of a good thing, you know, highly toxic in large quantities, but taken sparingly and very occasionally, dot, dot, dot. So my question is, what if taking it once made you lucky enough to avoid the side effects so you could keep taking it?
So the most powerful superpower in the world is perfect luck. I will put this down because anything you want, if you really want it and you have perfect luck, somehow you're going to get it. So if let's say you just have insane luck and you just have perfect luck and you're like, I want to figure out a potion that I can drink to get super strength. You could just start mixing potions and eventually you're going to come across a potion that gives you perfect strength and you're not going to have any bad side effects because you have perfect luck. You might get it on your first try because you have perfect luck. Luck is a very broken thing when it comes to writing because like in a great example is in Deadpool 2, Domino just has perfect luck. Nothing happens to her. People can't hurt her. If someone tries to shoot her, the gun jams. Like,
Isn't that kind of the same concept that the movie Limitless had?
kinda, yeah. Like you're just perfect. No, like
Yeah,
that's it. Like
because
luck is
it didn't even make, I mean, it did make them smarter, but I think I think it really made them super lucky and to push the limits, and there was nothing they could not do.
yeah, yeah. So
But yeah,
my
so I would agree.
yeah, sorry. So my last thought on this chapter, hands down, is well, you know what? I'm not gonna say it now because I read ahead. I also read the book a few times, so I know who the Half-Blood Prince is. So when we get there, I have a lot of opinions. But I guess
Yes,
that's not a now conversation.
correct. We want to be kind to the people that are reading it for the first time. There might
Yes.
be some kids.
Yeah, and it's been a long time since I read it, so I don't remember a lot about the book, but I do remember that.
Yeah,
'Cause, you know,
there is a lot in this book I don't remember.
yeah,
And so like the next chapter, for instance, when I was
yeah,
reading, I was like, this is really enjoyable. Like I forgot this happened. And like,
yeah.
oh man.
I already got it
So
open.
the House of Gaunt. So we're gonna I'm gonna do the
Yeah,
summary real quick, and then we'll
yeah.
get to talking about lore. Anything you want to talk about, we can discuss in great deal. So starts off, Hermione. We don't get into the lore yet, but Hermione and Ron are getting annoyed with Harry because he's doing so well in potions class, and he's become Slug's favorite. Um, and
I just want to. This is a slight comment to something earlier I meant to say was I loved like in class, I was always one of the top, and I would be eyeballing someone that was better than like that was not following the rules, but doing better than me. But if they were a friend of mine and they had a book with all this stuff, I'd copy everything from that book into my book. I'd be like,
Well,
yeah, I'd do this too. Which Ron copies them, but he can't keep up. I'm like, why don't you just sit on one of your free periods and just copy it?
right. And then
Take like an hour, do that, then you're just as good.
Hermione is very wary of
Yeah.
it. And Ginny too, because Ginny tells him, it's like, wait, you're doing what a book says? Like, hello? Do you remember the last time we did this? Which, I mean, it's fair. Because
Yeah.
like, um, and
She's she it's
I started reading ahead too, just because we had to delay the recording of this
yeah,
podcast. And we don't want to delay next week, so we needed to
yeah.
read so we can do it. But yeah, um, there's some things in it, some other events in the book that start making you connect um to the Half-Blood Prince and the book and everything, but we'll get to that when we get there. So after after the potions class, Dumbledore takes Harry in for his first lesson and brings him to the Pensieve. And he makes a comment, it's like, all right, we're gonna go back into this thing, but unlike before, you have permission to do so. So it's the third time he's going into the Pensieve in his life, the first time he's had permission.
Yeah.
And we are going into Bob Ogden's memory. And before we ever get to that, I want to know, is it possible when you go into the Pensieve, can you go right instead of following the person's memory to the left? Or are you kind of forced? Are
I
you in
would
a vehicle being pushed through this memory?
I would think of it in video game terms where like you show up and you see everything they see. And that's the map. So everything they see and they're doing is the map. But if you don't go with them, the map travels with them. So you're just kind of left behind in nothing and it'll boot you out. That's what I think.
Okay.
Like you're out of bounds and it's just like, boop, you're out of the pensive.
No.
I don't know. That's my
So Harry's confused at where they're going, but we follow Ogden, who visits the House of Gaunt in Little Hangington, one of those.
something like that.
Uh,
Bud Light.
Bud Light. So Gaunt's son Morphin is being so the reason for the visit is because Gaunt's son Morphin is being summoned for using magic on a muggle. We find out that his daughter Merope is in love with the muggle neighbor Tom. We discover through this also that the Gaunts are the last living descendants of Slytherin, and Marvolo is Gaunt's first name. And it's important to note that Dumbledore had told Harry that, all right, everything, like he said, all right, here's the time where you learn more stuff. And Harry was like, wait, no, last book at the end you said you were telling me everything. He goes, yes, I told you everything that I knew for a fact was true. And now I've learned some more, but from here on out it's almost exploratory, but I
Yeah.
have a really good hunch on this information.
Yeah.
So he's showing him memories. So Dumbledore suspects that Merope dosed Tom with a love potion after Marvolo and Morphin went to Azkaban. So like Marvolo tried to cast a spell on Bob Ogden at
Yeah.
this whole thing, and so then he got taken away with Morphin, and they both went to Azkaban, which left Merope by herself. At which point she decided to uh, give love potion to the neighbor Tom, the Muggle, make him forget and break up with his girlfriend. Then after Merope got pregnant, and this is all Dumbledore's
Yeah. Suspicion.
suspicions. Yeah. So after she got pregnant, she felt guilty and then stopped dosing Tom, and he left her like any normal person would do.
Yeah, he started
Like,
complaining that he felt like he was bamboozled.
yeah.
into
But
marrying
I
her.
mean, once you find out you've been drugged, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You may love me, but you don't really love me. You were controlling me.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm leaving. Um, and so that's all of his suspicions and kind of the whole thing. And then at the end, um, Harry notices that Dumbledore, or he actually remembers and connects from the pensieve memory that Dumbledore was wearing Ogden's ring the night that they visited Slug first.
Yes.
I can't remember which hand it was on though. Was it on the dead hand or was it on his good
I think it
hand?
was on the dead hand.
Because his hand was dead
Yeah.
at that
Or
time.
burned and all. Yes.
And we still haven't found out. And
What
then
happened?
that chapter leaves us on a little cliffhanger there, because he's like Harry asks him about the hand in the ring. He's like, oh, well, you know what? You'll hear that another time. It's time for you to go to bed. So,
But yeah, it was a good chapter. These are my thoughts. It's pretty good.
all right, the podcast episode's over.
All right.
This is really good. That's it.
That's it. That's it, everybody. No, it started strong, and it is why I like this book, because this book builds the world and the history.
Yeah, I really like that too, because a lot of this stuff is missing. I mean, the first book is good. Like it's a good
It
mystery
introduces
story,
the
but it
idea of
doesn't
this other world.
expand much. It's just
Yeah.
like event like this person did this person did that. And then you have a big jump between chapters. Like I think the first book you get to Hogwarts in the second or third chapter.
Was that fast? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I read the first book.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
in this book,
It takes
chapter
some,
8 chapter 8 is when they got to Hogwarts in this
yeah.
book. I think in chapter 4 or 5 it was chapter 10, or in book 4 or 5 it was chapter 10 before they got to Hogwarts or something. Like it was ridiculous long time. It was a quarter of the book had went by and they still hadn't made it to Hogwarts. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I really love the storytelling. Um, so I normally have an issue, and so like Brandon Sanderson will do this a lot, but he does it in a lot of times. He'll do it in interludes in some of his bigger books. So he'll have a whole part. He likes to divide his books into parts as well. So each part is telling the main story of the world. And then in between those parts, he might have interludes. Or sometimes it might even be the beginning of a chapter. So, like, that gives the chapter title, and then there's like some little text that you're reading, and you're like, I wonder, like, obviously, either somebody in the world wrote that and it's from their journal or something.
yeah.
And it's the same. It's like if it's that way for part one, every chapter in part one, it's an excerpt from that thing.
Oh,
Part
that's cool.
two, part two has something at the beginning of each chapter, but it might not be the same as
What's
part one. But in part two, it's all that same thing.
that's cool.
And so that piecing those together gives you a little idea of something else in the world. And then
Yes.
the interludes are yet another thing, because the interludes will come and all of a sudden it's almost like a little very, very short story of some other person somewhere else in the world that's experienced something that's not explicitly connected to the main characters in the main story. And sometimes it takes me a while to get into it, especially if there was like a cliffhanger at the end of a part, and then you come here and you go, oh, here's somebody new. I'm like, I just read 230 pages of
I
something.
want to know what happens.
I want to know what happens next. And now you're giving me this. But some of these interludes actually have contained some of the funnest characters in little quips. And a lot of times they become fan favorites, to the point where he feels compelled afterwards to write a little novella about that character in there, and then that character actually then becomes part of the story and has some type of tie-in.
Yeah.
um Not that he allows his fans to dictate where the story is going later on,
Oh yeah. Well, like,
but
there's nothing wrong with a little fan service. You know, it's like, hey, fans like this character. I like this character. Let me write up a little bit more. You know what? Let me go ahead and just put it in here. There ain't
but
nothing wrong with it.
he states already that a lot of times he uses those interludes to explore an idea of something, either a location, a character concept, or situation, or unique magic use
Yeah.
that doesn't quite fit in to any of his main stories, or he may not feel a or have an idea for a complete like novel or complete story. So he's like, I want to play around with this. And
Yeah.
so he does something, and it's his like playground, it's his recess, and it's really cool. This reminds me of that, because we're like, okay, who the hell is Bob Ogden,
Yeah. It's just,
and where are we going? Who is Gaunt? The first mentions pages into this memory before it goes, oh yeah, that's the neighbor Tom.
yeah. And
And
you're like,
Tom, like, is it
mm,
Tom Riddle? Is it Voldemort? And then you learn, oh, Gaunt's first name is Marvolo. Wait, hold on. Marvolo is the father of Merope, but then Tom Riddle is the neighbor. But I know Tom Voldemort's name is Tom Marvolo Riddle. How are these connected?
yeah. And you're like,
It's like, this is cool. It's a
oh, yeah.
great story. It's actually great storytelling, and it's
Yeah.
written well.
It it is. It's just like surprisingly, as much as I was kind of joking, going like, it's just good. It just is good. Like you're saying, it's well. It allows the reader to connect the pieces, not being told the pieces, and it allows it. And like you said, it is very clever, very well done. Like, and an
I
interesting,
love I love
this like the you sit there and you just like instantly like when they're in the house and like they're just speaking parcel tongue to each other and you could just imagine like his son over there just in the corner like yeah and like his poor daughter just like up against the wall just basically not even wanting like just like if I could just disappear I could you could just feel that.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I kind of felt so sorry. I had a thought, it went out of my mind. So here's the other thought that I was going with. I kind of felt that Gaunt was almost like Walder Frey.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. I could connect
and
those like if they ever do like a little thing of that, yeah.
then Merope, like he called his daughter a squib.
Yeah, even though
Like
she's not.
she's not a squib, but the conditions in the house. So he calls her a squib, but the conditions she's living in, she's not great at magic. Like she has a hard time with magic because of the conditions she's living in.
Yeah,
Once her father and her brother are gone, like it said here, she started, you know, she, she became a witch and was doing all this stuff and like was good at a lot of this stuff,
yeah. You know something amazing?
manipulating.
If you think about it, she was like they were gone for like what the he was gone for what 3 months. The dad in Azkaban, something like that. Like the son was there for 6 years, but he was gone for like
Yeah, I don't
3 months or something like
remember
that. And then
this.
that, or maybe he was gone for 6 months, and the son was 3 years. But what I'm getting at is in that time frame, she not only learned, she at least learned and got all the ingredients and put together a successful love potion. Which like earlier on, like he was talking about, these are three very advanced potions that only nastily exhausting wizard test students can do. And
Yeah.
then like it's like, okay, like this is a super hard potion, but she, being awful at magic up until that point, was able to put it together. So there's definitely like implying like she was brilliant. She just was being, you know,
Right. And
prideful.
she didn't want to she didn't want to be associated with her dad.
Yeah. Why
And
not?
so
He
he
was such a
received,
fun guy.
by the way, the dad received 6 months, the brother received 3 years.
Yeah, I got them 3 and 6 backwards.
So
Yeah, and the dad died before the brother got out, and never really said what happened to the brother. I'm assuming he just went back into Azkaban for attacking somebody.
yeah. Well, it was morphin time. Yeah, so all of these people and the neighbor, it's responsible for um Voldemort,
Yeah,
which I can't wait to talk about the next one.
yeah, but I did love this chapter.
I really did. It was so, it played well like a movie in my head. And I think once we get to this book and Jules listens to the audiobook, she's going to really enjoy this chapter. Because I could just see myself sitting in a house in the corner. Just almost like Strider, just sitting there watching as the sun is like and nailing snakes. He nails snakes to his door.
Yeah, like what was the little jingle he had?
Oh yeah. Hissy hissy little snaky, slither on the floor. You begin to morphin or he'll nail you to the door.
Oh, it's such a good chapter. No, but you know what? I just had an idea of, like if she did this, I would buy the book in a minute. She should just start like writing things like this and like name the book something like Drops of a Pensive, and it's just stories, like little like one chapter stories, and she could like put like 30 of them into a book and send them out, and everybody would buy them. It'd be amazing. No,
Not
they don't.
everybody, because some people just don't want to buy her books anymore.
Nah, that's true. We're not gonna get into politics here.
No.
She would
But
still, I think it would still sell like case, but like
oh yeah, I mean people still
people
go
people complain about Chick-fil-A, but you know something? People still eat it. A lot of people
pe-
do.
people go to Universal for the Harry Wizarding Worlds, and Universal is building an entirely new park that has another Harry Potter land. So there's going to be three in Florida, three Harry Potter worlds in Florida at three different parks.
That's intense. I
Yeah, yeah, it's called Epic Universe, like, and so there's a Super Mario World, a Dark World, and I think they're doing the Ministry of Magic is like kind of the theme for the
Oh.
other Harry Potter world. The
That'd
sucky
be
thing is so in Orlando, the two Universal parks are like cramped, and there's no room to expand around it. They don't have as much land as Disney has. So then there's this interstate that goes right here, right along the side of it. Like you could drive down the interstate and just look at Universal's
Yeah.
stuff. The other park is on the other side of the interstate and kind of down here. They bought a big chunk of land. So you actually have to like leave and go. But they are going to do a dedicated bus lane, I think, from there if you wanted to travel at some point. But the
Stick with
cool
no
thing,
trams.
right? It would be cool if they had some were able to design some type of flu network thing. Of course, you can't do any underground stuff in Florida just because they're below sea level.
Yeah.
But the cool connection for the other two Wizarding Worlds is a Hogwarts Express that goes from one park to the other. And it's a train that goes through some backstage stuff. And so there's like the cast parking and stuff. So if what they did is they put screens on the windows inside to make it look like you're riding the train through the English countryside as
Yeah.
you're going through from one from
Part.
from King's Crossing over into Hogsmeade, because like there's Diagon Alley, so you go and you do all your shopping,
Yeah.
you get your wand, you get your books, you get your robes, all that, and then you jump on Hogwarts Express and you go into Hogsmeade. So it's a cool little thing.
Yeah.
But in order to ride the Hogwarts Express, you actually have to buy a park hopper
Yeah.
pass and access both parks that single day.
I mean, they know how to make the money.
Yeah, it's cool. I really want to go.
I have the solution for the new park. Giant, like pillows or inflatable mattresses and catapults. And you can hold a broom while you do it, you know?
Yeah, let's get them sued.
Yeah. All right. All right.
All
Do you
right.
have any other thoughts about chapter 10?
I do not. So
Other than
we
the the one thing I do want to note is that, like you said at the end, the ring was broken when it was when it was at the very end. I mean, yeah. So he says, he turned away and it was almost the door when he saw it. Sitting on a little spindle leg table to support many for legs was an ugly gold ring set with a large cracked black stone. It was a cracked black stone. I don't think it was
there's
cracked.
yeah, the stone is cracked. Yeah, I don't think it was cracked before.
Yeah, so there may be something to that. You have to wait till next time.
Yeah, which book did he will and won't or was it chapter will and won't? Yeah. So let's see here. I'm trying to look that up, and this will be the last thing we did. But hey, look, we got through the book.
The first 10 pages, the first 10 chapters.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, yeah. We got through this episode.
Yes.
Here. Let's
Even with
see.
all the scheduling. I'm looking up, I'm seeing it right.
Yeah, I'm scanning. I don't think it mentions the ring in this other chapter. Because it mentions his hand was burned and withered.
Yeah.
But I think it only mentions that Harry noticed the ring. So he noticed Dumbledore had been wearing the ring after he saw the ring in the memory.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, the ring you wore, that was the same one in here." So, but all right. Hey,
Yeah.
first 10 chapters down.
First 10 chapters down.
If y'all stayed around for this is 3 hours. Thank you. We hope we made this fun. I know
Yeah.
Chris is now the third person I've discussed Harry Potter books with. And we have one more person for book 7. So I think everybody brings a different kind of feel and different conversation to the podcast, and I'm enjoying it. You know, obviously you and Justin, I've been friends with for a long time, so we kind of already know how to talk to each other. Whereas Mike, I never actually met Mike in person. Um, and we just became friends and decided to do a podcast together. So
Trying to think. Have I known you half your life? We're
um,
close. 2005?
2000,
Like fall 2005 is when we met?
yeah, fall of 2005. So that's
That's 19
it's
years.
coming up on 19 years.
Yeah.
I am 39.
Yeah,
So
it's getting
nearly
close.
half my
It's
life.
nearly half your life.
I have known you
Yes, you have. For
for
half of
more
my
than
life.
half your
Oh, yeah.
life. How's that feel?
Mm.
All right, so next week we will continue with chapters 11 through 20. Um, make sure you read that. The chapter 20 is Lord Voldemort's request. We will be covering that chapter. Um, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, whatever. All those things are free, don't cost you anything, but it helps get this out to people like Chris and like me and like you, the listener or watcher. Maybe you mute it and you just watch us do this. At which point it just looks like I'm doing this and you don't know what I'm saying. But go ahead. It's down here somewhere on YouTube, like maybe over here
I'm gonna
somewhere.
go
And
the other
like
way just in case, even though I
yeah,
know it's over. But
we're pointing at the same place.
oh
You
well,
were
you're
pointing
different on my
it.
screen.
Oh,
No,
wait, what? What?
it's here. It's here.
It's down here, right?
It's down here somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Let's
So
just touch things down here, like on the screen.
yeah.
On the screen.
Take it on the screen. Um, yes, go visit our partner sponsor Mudcat Whiskers at www.mudcatwhiskers.com. You can go ahead and get you a 4-pack sample of beard oils. Choose 4 different scents. If you don't know which one you want, get 4 different ones. Hell, I think he has 15 or 16 different scents. So you know what? You can buy 4 packs of 4 different scents and get them all and try them. And use code paperweights and save yourself 15%. So, Chris, thank
Yes.
you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for listening.
Fun. And I will see you next week.
Yep. All right. See you
Bye.
then. Bye.